Hello everyone and welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, which is we will not actually be playing much Rush today. We'll just be spectating and commentating, which is something we're quite good at. We're quite good at watching things. We're quite good at talking about things. I think that's generally something we're generally fine with. So we're going to be doing that today, which is very exciting just because we don't really get a chance to commentate over things very often, but we did feel a bit weird because we have been sort of doing that over the last few weeks with the Angel Cup, but we tried to not just wholesale spend the entire stream watching games and talking over it because it does feel a bit like stealing content in a way. So what we have been doing is basically we asked Angry Angel themselves or Moki Moki if he was okay with us restreaming it, and he was like, yeah, that's completely fine. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to be restreaming the Angel Cup, which, you know, we're very excited about. We're very excited to see what happens today because we have been seeing quite an interesting meta so far. So it'd be interesting to see what actually happens. Anyway, who do we have in the chat? We have Duke, we have Ninjetti, the Ursus himself, who, you know, both of these players probably playing in today's tournament. We've got Mechlord, we have Duan, welcome on in. We have Icy Gamers, is that Icy Gamers in the chat? Welcome on in. Icy Pro Manicist is here. Black on black, yes. Black on black has always been our color, right? Basically, when we were a teenager, we went through that emo phase that everyone goes through, and we never, we grew out of it, but you know, there's still some holdovers. We've always kind of been a black, you know, black on black kind of guy. This is our, this isn't my favorite suit, but it's one of my favorite suits. So we're going to be wearing it today just because we thought it'd be a little bit professional. We thought we'd any excuse basically to throw on a suit. I will always take it. I always love wearing a suit. It's been a bit hot lately, so obviously it's not really been suit weather, but we're going to try and cope with it today. Nice. I wish something new from you, Tomato. This is rare. By the way, Tomato, I won't be watching often on my stream. On these days, I'm done with my vacation. Ah, that's a shame. Well, it does kind of seem as well like summer holidays is coming to an end as well. So anyone that's in school or college or university is slowly going to be wrapping up with their vacation, which is going to be, you know, a good and a bad thing. It's not the end of the world. Dwan Pogging. I won't be watching. Yeah, we've already done that. So we'll throw out the exclamation mark Icy. We always got to give out a shout out to our man Icy. Icy rarely actually manages to catch our streams. Icy, absolutely lovely person and a fantastic speed duel player. Although someone that does tend to steer clear of tournaments for the most part. Icy does play in tournaments and he's done very, very well in tournaments. But Icy is definitely a ladder champion. CZ comes in. Welcome. What do you think of the massive update will be in October? So, I think it will be... It's so hard. It's so hard to predict, right? Logically, I know all the options it could be, and I kind of know, the weighting of the chance of them. I think if we were going to have a new world, we would probably know about it right by now. I think Konami is generally quite bad at keeping things secret. So I think if we were getting a new world, we would know by now. But that doesn't mean we're not getting a new world. I would expect us to get some sort of fusion update, and then maybe we just see a core app update. So I don't think there'd be any fancy new world or anything, but what they could do is just introduce new rarity, change some of the the models, just do a big overall update. That seems plausible to me. We'll have to see what actually happens. I hope we will see you streaming on October tomorrow. Oh yeah, we're obviously going to be streaming in October. Did you get mod for their tournament so you can spectate room? No. I think that was a bit too much. We basically just got permission to restream the stream. So we're going to be just watching their stream, but just commentating over it. Because that way, you know, I don't think... I have had very limited interactions with Moki Moki. So it's a little bit early, I would say, to just trust me with access to admin in their tournament. Because, again, it doesn't really know me. So it'll be a little bit. So yeah, we're just going to be talking over their actual stream. Hoping we get Cyber Dragon next week. Ooh, next week. I would expect it. They could announce it at Worlds, right? That could just be what they do. They're like, oh yeah, here's the Cyber Dragon structure. Thanks for watching Worlds, which is a week away. So it's possible. It's possible. You're worried Moki doesn't know you're famous in Western culture. I don't know about famous, mate. I think that's taken it a little bit far, but you know, we do what we can. But let's go and take a look at the event and see how many people ended up signing up. So it looks like the event is going to be starting very, very shortly. Registration is now closed, so it's not actually going to tell me how many people signed up. What we can do, though, is go and take a look at who did sign up. So we've got Ursus, who is in the chat, so it'll be interesting to see what Ursus brings. Ursus typically has been doing very well on the machines, but does have access to every single card, so could bring whatever he wants. Soramia has recently been playing a ton of Psychics, but again, is the 7's Axel Road King, so we'll see what happens with that. Bisma has, for the most part, been playing the same deck as well. He has been on the Blue Eyes Monarch, so it'll be interesting to see what that goes. Deku is a bit of a wild card. I can't remember what Deku played last time. I want to say Deku was on either Blue Eyes or Psychic. I cannot remember what Deku was on, though. Some of these players, I just do not know their names. We've got Now Neo, who is kind of known for playing a little bit of everything. We've got Ra, who was on Psychic, but used to just be basically a Cyburst one-trick, so that's what happens there. We've got Squid, who again plays a little bit of everything. Hopefully we get some news on update during Worlds. I mean, I would be shocked if we didn't get something, even if it was just a teaser. Because what they tend to do, what Konami tend to do with Duel Links, is we get a lot of big updates during the Tokyo Game Show. So I wouldn't be surprised if they held off on the major stuff and like the big trailers until then. Because I think for them, Worlds isn't a huge deal. It's just kind of a, some people will watch, not a ton of people probably. We're not going to like show off anything big, but we might have like a little announcement. That's kind of how I see it. Who do you think will win? Oh, that's always a toughie. There's a lot of good players, right? We've got Dwan, another fantastic player. We've got Playfaker, another really strong contender who has won these tournaments before. There is Gozu, who again can just pop off. Like, there's a lot of like fierce competition in this event, so it'll be interesting to see what actually happens with that. Let's do a quick refresh and see if we do have the brackets up. It looks like game one is about to kick off, so I guess we will probably just head over to that. And we'll take a look at the brackets in a minute. So for now, let's get rid of this, and we will go into our first game, which is going to be Deku in player number 1 slot. So we'll upgrade this. And Deku's opponent is going to be naturally something that I have no possible way to be able to pronounce. So we will go for SP. We'll just leave that like that. That looks fine. That's fine. Alright, so Deku versus SP. Deku is playing the Royal Rebels, has already started off using his skill. We are going to be against what appears to be 7's Axel Road. This could still be Magnum Overlord. We haven't used the skill, which obviously there'd be no reason to, right? If we don't have any maximum pieces, there's no reason to use it. And if we are playing SAR, we don't need to get a boost because it's irrelevant because everything's in defense mode, so it doesn't really matter. Ugh. Ugh, look at that. That's gross. Let's get rid of that disgusting bot. There you go. Get out of here. Oh, is this Spacesaurus? I need to start learning the actual names of the Japanese players. Okay, so we have immediately gone for the Doom Metal play. We do flip up a buyer, and then we'll summon out our Rogue of Archfiend. We probably don't need to bother with the Rogue of Archfiend. We do get a little bit punished by attacking with only a 1200 attack into a deck that quite commonly does run 1400 defenders. But realistically, I think the chance to get 3700 damage in is too tasty to not try and take. If we do get that, that all but basically guarantees the game is over. And it looks like we are going to be against Magnum Overlord, which is a scary deck. This is a deck that can just kill you out of nowhere. And I would make the argument that both of these decks that we're seeing right now are actually the two problematic decks. I don't know if problematic is the right word for this, but like they're both decks that force you to play in a specific way and can force you to make deck building decisions that you otherwise wouldn't want to make. So a lot of the time we've actually started seeing players just ignore these decks and just play however the heck they want, which has allowed both of these decks to come in and score some very demanding wins in some situations. So we'll have to see how this goes. We are going to use the Rogue of Archfiend effect. Now, I think that was primarily to get the 1000 attack monster off of the field and to get just a card out of the hand, effectively. Ooh, and that is going to be a 1700 defense Dark Magician Girl. Oh no, the stream. Oh no. Alright, there we go. We caught back up. This has never happened before. Alright, this is fine. Quantum has been going hard on his deck building. And practice for Worlds, I reckon he's got a good shot at winning. I think that Rush has enough RNG in it and has enough of a random factor that as long as you kind of know what you're doing and you understand the meta, you have a good shot at winning. It's one of those things where I could say like, oh, you know, Parko has all of this Rush experience. He's constantly playing the game. He's played every single deck, so he should be favored. It's like, no, that's not really the case because experience won't really get you so far. As long as you practice all the matchups, you'll kind of be fine. And then you could look at someone like Giorfio and be like, well, Giorfio is, you know, he's a really strong player. He's been around in the scene for such a long time. He's been like topping lots of different speed events. Like, so he's got this, again, like level of experience. But again, that will probably be more valuable just because that will help with nerves and stuff. Also, we're still playing the like really calm casual music. We should slap on some battle music for this, I think. So let's go for this. There we go. That's more exciting. So it looks like Deku is being forced onto the defensive, but does have access to a lot of cards. We've got 3 Batcrow and 3 defense position monsters. Magnum Overlord is basically notorious for not having easy ways to deal with set 3. A lot of the time, we do see players pick up a copy or 2 of Pierce just to try and help out with that. We'll have to see if that actually does make any difference here, if he is actually playing it. Other than that, basically you have to rely on Torna. But not a lot of players play Torna alongside Dark Magician Girl, so we might not actually be running it. We'll have to see what Space Saurus is actually on. So we go out with the Buyer. Buyer goes up to level 6, which means we are primed and ready for a heavy metal play, but not a doom metal play. Let's see what happens. So we are activating the effect. My assumption would be this is to just get rid of the card so that we can draw more cards next turn, more than we want the trap protection, because I don't know why we'd want the trap protection or anything here. I would expect now a summon into Tribute Heavy Metal, possibly. We'll have to wait and see what Deku decides to do. We are going to Tribute Set. It looks like we are not feeling comfortable in going for any kind of push right now. And we do have 1 card remaining in hand. Chances are that's another high-level monster. And based on the fact that was a 7, that might indicate that the card in hand is a second invasion. We do use a trap card to protect. That might, again, not be to actually keep the monster around. That might just be to open up a space in the back row in case we draw a back row we want to be able to use. We are going to use the skill. We're going to summon out Doom Metal. Are we going to summon out a second monster? That is the question. We're going to flip up our Phaser, activate its effect, sending it to the graveyard to bring back another high-level monster from the grave. Now we are very much set up for a Doom Metal play. But that means we would have had to have 2 Doom Metal in hand. But I don't see why this wouldn't be Doom Metal, so here it comes. Activate its effect will destroy the opponent's field and inflict 1300 burn damage, which is quite a lot. Now, obviously the only life point that really matters here is going to be the last, unless Space Saurus leaves like very high attack monsters. But even if a maximum is on the field, for example, that would only be 1000 damage, so... Now, there is the slime used. Here it comes. Magnum Overlord hits the field. Now, we do have 2 back row to try and protect against this. Now, the question is Spacesaurus going to have access to any cards to try and deal with those back row? Oh, we have nothing in return. Spacesaurus taking game number 1. Oof, that was... it was a shame. Obviously, I think we would have liked to have seen the Royal Rebel player win, but, you know, sometimes it happens. We'll have to see what happens in game 2. We're going straight into another one as well. No delay. So turn 1 is going to go to the Royal Rebel player. We are going to summon out the invasion. Then we're going to set a monster in defense. Set another card. 1 back row. Do we have the second back row? It's looking unlikely. Right, pass turn over to the Overlord player. Let's see what the Overlord player does. We're immediately activating the skill. So I'm guessing we have some high levels in hand that we just do not want to be stuck there. Now, are we going to go aggressive? We do Tribute set, and we have flipped over our Magnum Overlord. Now, Magnum Overlord is a level 10, which means it can't be popped by Heavy Metal. It can get popped by Doom Metal, but it's a bit of a waste to use a Doom Metal on this. You could just summon a monster and attack over it, which it looks like we might be thinking about doing. We do have 2 rather weak monsters. Like 1500 is fine, but it's not a tribute monster, right? We're not looking at like a 23, 25. Currently, with what we have on board, we still cannot out the 19. Let's see what Deku decides to do here. And as this is going on, we're going to take a quick look at the brackets. It looks like we have... Is there any interesting matchups? We have Bismuth versus Now Neo, and Ursus versus Soramia, and that's all within the same bracket. That is going to be an exciting one, that's for sure. We've already seen Squid win 2-0 over his opponent, and then he will be advancing to play against Playfaker, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Unfortunately, we were unable to clear the defense position Dark Magician Girl. This is one of the few times where Dark Magician Girl is actually useful. A lot of the time, Dark Magician Girl kind of is just in the way. It's a bit of a weak monster, right? It's only got 2000 attack, which is not ideal, but its defense value is what adds extra value to it, so there is that at the very least. Let's see what happens here. We're passing back to Deku. We've got 2 monsters in attack. If we do manage to get a Doom Metal play off, that is 1300 damage straight in. And then, assuming we also get to summon another monster in attack, that's potentially a lot of damage we could get in. Again, assuming those back row is nothing. It looks like we are going to go for it. We're going to summon out the phaser, activate its effect, bring back another high-level monster, tribute both, and then we will be going for a Doom Metal play. Go for that 1300 damage. Now it's all going to come down to what the back row Spacesaurus has. This could be very spicy. If we had access to like an Archfiend Soldier, we could potentially threaten lethal. Okay, so no matter what, it looks like we're not going to be threatening lethal. And we do have the negate attack anyway. I think there's an argument that was a bit premature on the negate attack, but we'll have to wait and see. We are going to use the skill again, so my assumption would be that we're going to weaken, the boss monster. Summon out the middle piece of Magnum Overlord. Again, has the protection from the heavy metal. And we're going to immediately fire off the negate attack. Again, both players very trigger happy with the negate attack. Let's see what Deku decides to do here. Tributes 2 monsters. So we're going to be summoning out another boss, probably Invasion. Oh, it's another Doom? We are just going extraordinarily aggressive here. So now we'll bring back Heavy Metal. Oh, we are playing an interesting tech. I forget what this card is called. But basically it lets you change one of your monsters to attack mode and then give it a nice power boost, which is really nice to use with the skill and with the phaser effect. So we do get in for a nice chunk of damage, and we will get to clear the board, but we only have one back row, and if our opponent does just draw the maximum, this could be curtains. We'll have to see what happens here. 3 level 8 monsters on the field. At the very least, there isn't like a weaker monster to attack over for additional damage. If we want to get in, we're getting in over a 2500 attacker. Then that's a grave. Summon out a monster in defense. Then we will go ahead and weaken the Doom Metal. We'll set another monster. Flip up Splat. We're also playing Splat. So we're playing Splat and we're playing Dark Magician Girl. That is very interesting. I think most people would play one or the other, not opt for both. But obviously we have not seen the maximum hit the board. We've kept 2 cards in hand. That tells me there might just be 2 maximum pieces in the hand currently. And we're just going to hope we draw into the 3rd. Now, if that's true, that means we have a maximum piece we didn't set. 2,500 life points, 3 back row though. Now, I believe we've already seen the negate attack. I can't recall if we've already seen the slime or if that was in last game. Attack over that. We will use... what was this card called? Heavenly Blessing, I think it's called. Which will flip a card down, which will protect our life points a little bit. Splat seeing a lot more play because it lessens SRM play around slime. I see. But even so, usually you wouldn't see it with Dark Magician Girl, right? But here comes down the maximum, but we do have to fight through 3 back row. Now, it did manage to find lethal through 2 back row before. Now, the major issue here is we already know that the negate attack has been used. Slime doesn't work against this. So this is most likely, yeah, there it is. Unfortunately, that is going to be the game, and that's going to be a clean 2-0. And talking about 2-0s, if we go and take a look at the bracket, we can see that Gozu has been 2-0'd by this lovely gentleman. We can see that Dwan is still playing against God, so, I mean, all the best to Dwan, but, you know, taking down God is always going to be quite the hard matchup. Now versus Bismarck, we still haven't seen the winner of that. Ursus, though, has managed to 2-0 Soramia. So that is a very interesting... I don't know if I could say it's an upset, but Soramia definitely not a player to be taken lightly. So Ursus moving on, presumably on the machines, and presumably beating out Sora, who's probably playing the Psychic or the Sevens Axel Road. We'll have to see what happens if we do get to spectate any of those games. So this is already becoming quite an interesting event. The biggest downside for me is that we've seen so many big names in one little tiny bit of the bracket. Like, looking at the bottom half of the bracket, left in here now is Squid, Spacesaurus, Playfaker, Ra? No, I was saying that, yeah, okay, there's still a lot of big names in the bottom half of the bracket as well. Both sides of the bracket are looking quite good. I would put money, if I was forced to put money somewhere, from the top half of the bracket, I would say the semis are probably going to be Dwan Ursus, or it could be Dwan Bismarck, actually. And we can't rule out now Neo as well. That's going to be a toughie. As for the bottom half of the bracket, it's probably going to be... Ra seems pretty... I don't want to say it's like guaranteed, but Ra is shown to be quite a competent player. So I think we could expect that. And then it's like Squid and Playfaker is probably going to be one of those two, whoever wins their matchup. I don't know if anyone else has any predictions they think is going to make it through. Because this is not, it's not the most hyper competitive players that we've seen, but at the same time, these are definitely like not, this isn't like an easy bracket. Like, no matter how we look at this, this is looking like it's going to be a pretty tight one. Okay, let's get the game going again. No, that's the wrong button. Let's get rid of this. And then we're going to be going into... I don't even know which game we're on. But we'll go ahead and grab the players' names and throw them onto the screen. Like we're semi-professional. So this is looking to be Aqua versus probably Blue Eyes. Bismuth will win it all if he doesn't brick. I mean, the thing is, when you play Blue Eyes, sometimes you're just going to brick. We are going to activate the D and Keto. So we could have, if we wanted to, summoned out the second boss. We chose not to. So let's see if we get punished for doing so. Because 225s can be difficult out depending on the situation. Now there's Siesta Terrera, a card that would immediately out one of them. And this is looking to be Blue Eyes. Oh, this song's getting a little bit old. Let's chuck on a bit more. Just swap it up a bit. Have a little bit more variety going on. So we do activate the Rhythmical Performer, and we are going to mill our own Mini Wilhel. Now, Mini Wilhel wouldn't do too much for us here, so I guess that's not really the end of the world. We are going to tribute one, so this is going to be Mini Wilhel coming down. Obviously, his effect does nothing because our opponent doesn't have any back row, but we could tribute over this to summon out Mega Wilhel, which it looks like we're doing as the stream starts playing up. So let's try and sort that out. This song is getting old. Swaps to the song he plays every YouTube video. This song's good. This is my favorite, like, rush track. Right, there we go. Wilhel's come down. So Mega Wilhel did come down. We did out one of our opponents. Oh, this is not ideal. Last time when we were spectating, we didn't have any connection problems whatsoever. And today we're having a lot, which is not great, but we'll manage, we'll manage. But even with summoning the Mega Wilhel, we did get some cards out of our hand. We couldn't even empty the hand completely, and we still couldn't out the D and Keto. It looks like not summoning the second D and Keto is definitely the best. Is it because you're playing music too? We're actually playing music from a sound file, so we're not actually like streaming music today. Our actual internet is fine. I think this is either going to be something on YouTube side, which again could be like their European server rather than, you know, it's affecting everyone on YouTube, or it could be something on Angel's side, but I would expect it not to be an Angel's side. I would expect it to be something to do with the intermediary. So we are going to summon out the second D and Keto, and then we summon out the Fashion of Faith. We do get the draw, and we are going to buff both of our boss monsters' power up. This is looking very, very scary for our Blue Eyes player. We're going to have to see if that back row is anything. If not, we are going to be taking a lot of damage. There does look to be a delay, and that is going to force out a very, very early negate attack. Now, this negate attack is kind of spooky because now that's a very important tool gone, and we don't actually have anything to deal with this board right now. We just have to pray that we've just drawn into something and out this board. Even if we summon out another Mega Wilhel, that accomplishes nothing. We need to find a Blue Eyes Bright, or a Kyberman, which gets us to a Blue Eyes Bright. We need something along those lines. We need a very powerful tool to be able to break this board. Ooh, Siesta Terrero, though, very, very strong. This will out one of the boss monsters. It will not out two, though. So we're going to have to see if we have access to something else that could also deal with this. We are going to put 1, 2, 3 cards back in. So we leave the other Siesta Terrero in graveyard. That's very bold. Especially since we did just put back 3 1000 attack or 1000 defense monsters, which is perfect to be used with Zeus. Now, obviously, we had 2 Zeus in the graveyard, so we didn't have any Zeus in deck to actually benefit from that, but... Okay, so again, we couldn't out the 25, so we still have access to that 2500 attack monster. The question now becomes, where are we going to go from here? Are we going to go wide? Are we going to... Oh, we do have the shoulder phone Yan Yan. We can pop the back row with the hydration, gain the 500 life points, and it was just our opponent's particle acceleration, which realistically wasn't going to do much. The Aqua player hasn't really had back row this game. I lost to a 50-50. No, Dwan, you were the chosen one. I mean, to be fair, you did lose to God, so if anyone was going to beat you in luck, it was always going to be God, right? So what was the score? Was it 2-0, 2-1? So our opponent, our Aqua player, is currently just doing a big think here. Big think. We could potentially use the Brick Phone Nyan Nyan to get a boss monster back to hand, but that does cost us a card from hand, so it doesn't actually plus us. We are going to reduce the attack of the Mega Wilhel. We are going to add the Diankito back to hand. We're going to set a monster. Presumably now we're going to tribute both to summon out the Diankito, otherwise there's no point in putting it back in the hand. Yeah, 2 back row. I had game and I didn't hit NA. Ah, that's always the worst. I assume there was like no possible way for you to know which one was which. There was no like delay previous attacks or anything. So that is a back row. Now this is where it gets a bit spooky because now our Monarch player is perfectly set up. Our opponent has very few resources. If we're able to like get a particle acceleration on that back row and then summon out a Mega Wilhel, the Aqua player is going to be forced to send a boss monster to the graveyard, which is exactly where they don't want to be. Should have practiced 50-50 more. Also, hello Zaki boys, welcome to the stream. We are going to activate the Essel. Essel does mill a second copy of Essel and a particle acceleration, followed by activating our Legend spell card Tribute to the Doomed. We're going to hit the Cure Maiden, or Boogie Master, that's the one. Cure Maiden's the good one from Go Rush. Then we're just going to pass. We're leaving a 1000 attack monster in attack mode. To be fair, there isn't going to be a lot of punish, realistically. Like, the most this is going to be is like, what, like 3000-ish damage direct. But if we have drawn the God Hand, there is a chance the Aqua player can win this turn. So we'll have to see what they have. And there's the ads. Anyone that doesn't have ads, good job. Anyone that does have ads, well, you can't hear this anyway. So we are going to summon out another Aqua monster. Currently, we can boost 2 of our monsters' attack, which is not bad. It's probably a little bit unnecessary, to be honest. So I'll ask the chat as well. Do you guys prefer having the, like, Rush Duel battle music, but it's like a bit repetitive, or would you rather just have the regular playlist? I don't know what you guys would prefer. Like, for me, it doesn't really make much difference. I like all of it. So we are going to attack over for the 29 after using our own Tribute to the Doomed. Then we're going to get in directly, leaving our opponent on only 300 life points. Ooh. Where the ad? So Dragson doesn't get ads. Dragson has ascended beyond ads. And Dwan, I didn't expect to play Royal Rebels Mirror round 1, to be fair. There's a lot of Royal Rebels, so if you were playing a Royal Rebel Mirror, we also did see Deku on the Royal Rebels as well. So it looks like there's a decent chunk of Royal Rebel in this event. We'll have to see if any of that translates. Because, I mean, 2 Royal Rebel players have just got knocked out, so... Royal Rebel Mirrors, in my personal opinion, is some of the most unfun ways to play Rush. I do think that the Mirror is a bit eh. I had some brutal bricks. Oof. Oh no! And Ursus is out as well! No, you were my prediction to make it to semis. Everyone's dropping like flies. Okay, so we have the Rhythmical, which unfortunately has not done too well for us. We are activating the effect of Siesta Torero, which will let us flip down a monster. Presumably it's going to be the Diankito. Let us attack over it. There it goes. We still do have 2 back row to work with, though. Only 7 cards left in deck for the Aqua player. We are going to tribute Set. And it looks... Are we ending the turn? So, that's got to be a 2500 defense monster. This is looking like it's over. But, if one of those monsters has 1200 defense... It can survive an attack from either of the 2 weaker monsters. Oh, now this should be it. This should be lethal. Now, any normal summon ends the game. So we normal summon, we use the skill, boost up one of the Diankito to guarantee we can beat over the 25 as the tribute monster. Then we know that 25 can beat over the defense because it's a non-tribute. And then we get in for 14. So that was lethal no matter what. Yeah, I hate Royal Rebel Mirrors. I usually lose them too. Royal Rebel Mirrors, in my opinion... comes down to who gets luckier because they find their full combo first, who throws caution to the wind and then again doesn't get punished. So for example, if you're able to just go full aggro and just slam into your opponent, but they just don't have any back row or they just don't have the Doom Metal to punish you on the follow-up, you can just get a win like that, and again, it does feel a little bit cheap. And then the other way is like who's built their deck better for the mirror, because I feel like the better you build the deck for the mirror, the worse you build it to deal with the not mirror. It's like it's very awkward, it's very difficult. Which is why when we were playing in Rush Duel Coliseum, side decking became extraordinarily important for the Royal Rebel deck. So we are going to open with set 3 and 1 face down back row. Summon out the Zeus, tribute it off to summon out the Mini Wilhelm. Mini Wilhelm, we're going to take a look at that back row. It is a spell card, so we will be popping it, and that is a limit 3 spell as well, which is very... It's not super spicy, but like... It is notable that they are on that instead of what could be 3 copies of Gazelle. It looks like we're actually not playing any Gazelle whatsoever after that first game, unless they were just tucked down in the bottom of the deck. Alright, draw for turn. Let's see what our Aqua player has to deal with 2 2000 attack monsters. It'll be interesting to see as well what else advances. So by the look of it, Playfaker has unfortunately lost to Squid, so Squid is going to be advancing into the top 8. We might, if Squid loses, we'll have to contact Playfaker because he should be able to tell us what Squid was playing. Ra still hasn't finished his game yet. There's still a round 1 game that hasn't actually finished yet. We are going to go ahead and tribute out Keto the Boogie Master. This does threaten both Wilhelms. Obviously, it can only actually threaten one of them, but we could choose which one we get rid of. Now, we still do have that back row. Now, in the game 1, the Blue Eyes player was very trigger happy with firing off the negate attack to protect his board, so we might see something similar. We are going to activate the Keto. My assumption is we're going to get rid of, yeah, another high-level card. And so we bricked. We actually drew 3 high-level Ketos for the turn. That is very rough, and this is exactly what the Blue Eyes player wants to see. He got to maintain his resources. His opponent is starved for resources, which now means if we are able to get out a Mega Wilhelm, we can potentially do a massive punish, especially since we already have access to the Kyberman, which means by extension we have access to the Blue Eyes Bright, which will easily clear over this Keto. Now, I think it's a bit of a stretch to say we're going to have access to regular Blue Eyes as well, but at the very least, we can attack over both of these. We do also have a normal summon. We summon out the S, so we tribute for Mini Wilhelm. So this is not a bad board. And we're then going to tribute on top of that to summon out the Mega Wilhelm. This will force the... At that point... yeah, I think that's still the correct decision. Like, there's an argument to send the attack position monster, but then... It doesn't really make much difference because then the defense position will just get cleared by the 2000 attack anyway, so you'll end up taking more damage. But Aqua player now down to 2100 life points. Not looking great. Let's see if they can draw a way out of this. We do summon out the Canaan. Now, as we all know, this on its own isn't really going to do much. My assumption would be we're setting up for a hydration play. No, we're just going to tribute 2, go straight into the last boss monster that we had in our hand at the end of the last turn. Then we're going to normal summon Fashion of Faith. This will get us a draw as well as buff our monster up, which is good. But now we have an 1100 attack monster stuck on the field that can't really do anything. Set a back row. Oh no, do not tell me that last card in our hand is another Keto. Okay, we are normal summoning out the Canaan. Canaan can get boosted to clear the Mini Wilhelm at the very least. So that is something. Unfortunately, the boost on the Fashion of Faith doesn't actually accomplish anything. We'll have to see where this goes. We do get to clear the Blue Eyes Bright, which is the most important. We do get to clear the Mini Wilhelm, but we have left an 1100 attack monster on the field, which means that's looking at the moment like 1300 direct. We're only 800 shy of just having lethal, so this is a little bit spooky. Summons out the Mega Wilhelm. Well, Mega Wilhelm's already on the field. We summon out the Rhythmical Performer even. So Blue Eyes Bright has returned, and we have the Burst Stream of Destruction to clear the board, and that is going to be the game. So I believe that is now 1-all. I believe the Aqua player won the first game, so we'll have to see where this goes in game 3. Ooh, Burst Stream of Destruction really is showing that it is just such a powerful card in the right hands. Back row removal for NA and Burst Stream. Yeah, it is. I mean, part of me is like, well, he drew like kind of the god hand to deal with it. At the same time, the Aqua player was in a bad way anyway. We'd already like had to lose so many life points because of a bricky hand, and we still couldn't quite accomplish what we wanted to. So it really did feel like the Blue Eyes player was able to punish the Aqua player for just not drawing very well. And that is something I think Blue Eyes does better than a lot of other decks, is just punish your opponent for drawing badly. Like, Blue Eyes can struggle themselves if they're not able to amass enough resources to be able to like make the plays they need to make, which is how they like tend to brick quite a lot. But at the same time, if they're not punished themselves and they can amass a load of resources, they are so good at just holding on to that lead. Right, looks like we're having a little bit of a pause, because I believe we're 1-all. Yeah, so now we're going to be jumping into game 3. Aqua versus Blue Eyes. This is also a pretty cool matchup as well, because these are two of the newer decks. Now, obviously new, you know, they're new compared to the other decks, I suppose. But we have seen new support for both of these decks. I think we're going to change up the music again. Let's go for some uplifting. Who doesn't love a bit of uplifting? So let's take a look and see who's going to be going first. Looks like Blue Eyes is going first. And we are going to open with normal summon Kyberman, not even using the skill. I don't even know if you can use the skill on turn 1. I don't think you can. So we've just hard drawn into the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and we will get it out as a bit of a discount. We are leaving that card in our hand. So we could have theoretically summoned that out and distributed it if it was a card we didn't want, which tells me that could be a second Kyberman and we're holding it till next turn. Or it could be like a Mega Wilhel and there's just no reason to use it on this turn. We are going to summon out the Kanan. Where are we going with this? We're going to normal summon out Lamoon. And then we're going to summon out Shoulder Phone or Brick Phone Nian Nian, as she is now known in the English translation. Where are we going with this? We're going to tribute 2. We're going to summon out one of our Dianquitos. Which one is it going to be? Security or Boogie? It is Security. So we are looking to activate the skill to boost her up. We still have that one card in hand, and we could send it to the grave. It looks like we're not going to. We're going to set it onto the field. We will be able to clear the Blue Eyes, which is, again, something just really good that Aqua is able to do. They're just easily able to clear 3,000 monsters without too much fuss. We do attack over the Zeus as well, but we do leave the Blue Eyes player with one card, and that is going to be a Rhythmical Performer. We are not going to find a draw off of it, but that is the second Brick Phone gone. So we only have access to one more. We are going to summon out Mini Wilhel, and we are going to get the value by popping the Ghost Cyclone 2 games in a row. Summon out Siesta Terrero. Summon out the Soul Drake. If we use Soul Drake's effect, we can bring back the Blue Eyes, but we won't be able to attack with Mini Wilhel. We are going to use the effect. This is a little bit sus. If we summon out Mega Wilhel, this is fine. It looks like we're summoning out Mega Wilhel, so it's fine. So there's no reason at all. I guess if we ever... No, there's no reason at all to not send the Kanan. It's always the Kanan we send. So we could have got an extra 500 life points, but we valued putting cards back in our deck more, which I can respect that play. I think putting cards back into the deck to make your future plays more consistent is always going to outperform 500 extra direct damage, but you never know, that 500 damage might be the difference. We do activate a second copy of Ghost Cyclone, and we will be popping the back row, which is the Burst Stream of Destruction. That's a huge hit. There is no way to recycle spell cards at the moment in Rush, so that's just gone for good. And that's how we did win the last game. We're going all in on the defense, but this is just a Mega Wilhel away from being broken. So let's see if we're able to find one. Mega Wilhel here is just lethal. So did we find the Mega Wilhel? Summon, tribute for Wilhel. Tribute to the Doomed. We don't even need the Mega Wilhel. That is going to be it. That is going to be 2-1 for Blue Eyes Monarchs. A very scary deck when it gets going. And it's so funny that it was the exact 3,000 damage we needed. No Kite Roid to save us. That is going to be the game. So, now the question is, who are we going to spectate next? There's a lot of very interesting games going on. There's not actually that many Westerners left. In fact, I think every single Westerner is actually out. Unfortunately, we've had a poor performance today. Very scary when it doesn't brick. Exactly, Manicus. Exactly. Oh, I mean, these have been very exciting games. It's a shame, again, that not more Westerners are still in, but like that's not inherently a bad thing. It's just like it's more fun, I think, when people in chat are still actively playing. So who are we going to be watching next? Spacesaurus and Squid looks like it's about to start, but that might not be one to spectate because of that. We could go and watch Ra's game. There's a lot of potential. Let's get the bracket back up so we can take a look at where everyone is currently at. We still have Ra down here. We haven't seen his game go on yet. We have these two players who I recognize this icon, but I could not tell you the names of these players. In the quarterfinals, we already have Spacesaurus versus Squid. Up here, we have these two lovely players, who is Monarch versus this lovely person. And then we have the player that actually did manage to 2-0 Gozu, who was the Blue Eyes player, who has advanced to the semifinals or the quarterfinals as well. And then we have God, who did manage to 2-1 the One, who we do know is playing Royal Rebels. Let's see what happens. It's interesting as well. So basically, so far, we haven't actually seen any machine players. Bearing in mind, we've only actually spectated like a couple of games. We haven't seen any machine. We haven't seen any psychic. We haven't seen any cyberse. We have seen Royal Rebels. We have seen Aqua. So like, there's that. We've seen the Overlord. We haven't actually seen the SAR yet. We've seen the Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes seemingly very popular right now. We haven't seen any Ice Arc or any of these other lower tier decks either. It's interesting that we haven't seen a machine or a psychic player yet, or a cyber. So you expect to see these three decks quite a lot. We haven't spectated them yet. That doesn't mean they're not in the event. No, get rid of that again. So now it looks like we're going to be watching. This is a quarterfinal game, and this is presumably 40 card Worms? Is that what we're seeing here? Is this 40 card Worms? Oh, it's Hammer Crush Deal. Okay, so this could be anything. Presumably then this is going to be some sort of aggro. Oh, this is the Stool deck. We actually played against this in Ladder on Tuesday, and we absolutely destroyed it. So what are we playing against? This could be... Okay, it is Machine. So Machine versus Stool. So for anyone that doesn't know, this is a 40-card deck that basically works by summoning out the Aqua bosses and the... What's it called? Dark Delayer, and basically just increasing your life points, making it so that your opponent can't play the game by trying to floodgate them out. It's a very weird deck, and I don't know how it's going to perform in a tournament. But saying that, this deck did beat Ursus. So I don't know if Ursus has any input he wants to give us, if Ursus is still about. Alright, we do summon out Mirror Innovator as a 3,400 attack. I played versus it last Angel Cup, I think. So my question to you, Dwan, is did it perform particularly well? Did you think this was a real deck, or is this just like hard cope? Because I think everyone, you know, respects the opinion of Dwan. So we did get to attack over it. We did manage to bypass the effect of Yami Ruler by using the Aim Eagle. We're going to normal summon the Essel, activate the effect, milling 2. We're going to tribute to summon another Dark Delayer, followed by activating the Talismanic Seal Array. My assumption would be that we're making room for the back row, but we'll have to wait and see. So we are going to reduce down to 1000 attack. We can now attack over this for 1500 damage, which is not bad. Alternatively, we could just activate the effect, force our opponent to have another Aim Eagle, or to use the skill to go and dig for another Aim Eagle. We are going to activate a second Talismanic Seal Array. I can only assume this is, again, refilling the deck, which is part of the core strategy, as well as getting rid of spell traps. It's sometimes hard to close the game versus, but if you can deal a lot of damage in one push, then you should probably win. I see. Again, we played against it when we were playing Psychic, and when we played against it, it didn't really accomplish anything. We were a little bit surprised after the game when we looked at the list and went, oh, that's what it was trying to do. So Rhythmical Performer does mill our opponent's Rhythmical, but does mill our own Slime, which is a little bit awkward. We are going to reveal. Now, again, we don't need this Aim Eagle because we're not under a Yami lock right now. So we'll summon out the Aim Eagle. We're going to normal summon out Essel. Activate Aim Eagle. Send both to graveyard. Cheating out. This could be the Tough Striker we just saw. It is going to be the Tough Striker. So we're looking at 1000 damage here. What are our other monsters that we just do not have the ability to apply any pressure whatsoever here? Or are we worried about, like, getting a lot of aggro put back on us with only 3,500 life points? So where are we going from here? We're going to set a monster, set another monster, set another monster, set a back row, and then we're just going to pass the turn. Okay. As expected from like a stally type strategy, we are going to just be going very defensive. I mean, it's quite common in Rush in general. A lot of the time, if you don't have the boss monsters to apply pressure, or you don't see a way to get damage in, there isn't really a reason or incentive to do so. Hello, Marinos. Welcome to the stream. We're currently watching a quarter-final game in the Angel Cup between a weird stall deck and Machines, the Meta Menace. What's up? I mean, we're doing pretty good. We're having a good time. We're enjoying the event so far. Unfortunately, a lot of the Western players have already been knocked out, but it happens. We have summoned out the Barrel Dragon. We are going to activate Barrel Dragon's effect. Are we going to win the coin toss? We do fail. It is a 50-50, so, you know, sometimes you will just not win the 50-50. We will clear Fashion of Faith, and we will attack over Canaan. So we didn't really apply any pressure here. We'll have to see if anything changes. How the duels are going. The duels have been interesting. Not necessarily like crazy exciting. To my most important question of the stream, suit trousers. No, we're wearing shorts right now, Manicust. I'm actually wearing shorts that have a coffee stain on them because I got a chilled coffee from Tesco and the bottom was leaking and it leaked all over my shorts. So we're wearing stained coffee trousers or stained coffee shorts right now. So now we are going to attack over the weakened Barrel Dragon. So this is still dealable, right? We can just crash. Now the question is, are the two cards in the stall player's hand tribute monsters, or are they spell traps that we couldn't use? have to wait and see. What is our machine player going to be doing? We're going to be activating our Iron Onslaught. We will be popping something. It will be a second copy of Heavenly Blessing. Which, I mean, is an annoying trap card, but... And we're just going to set and... pass? Okay, so we're not even going to crash. I'm calling you Coffee Shorts from now on. I mean, that is understandable. I think you should be able to call me Coffee Shorts when I'm wearing the coffee shorts. I think in future, when I'm not wearing the coffee shorts, I think then it would be a bit of a mundane, kind of weird callback nickname. But I mean, to each his own. So we're going to activate the effect of D and Keto, discarding a card and gaining 1,000 life points. We are going to activate the third copy of Talismanic Seal Array. So we have activated 3 Talismanic Seal Arrays, and our deck is barely bigger than our opponent's. We are going to weaken the Tusk Striker. We have a 2900 attack monster. We will be able to chip through and get some nice damage in. With no back row to stop us, can't do anything about it. Almost back at 6k life points. Yeah, it's a weird... It's definitely a weird deck. It feels like a bit like a control deck, I guess. But like... not in a fun... Because I would make an argument that Blue Eyes Monarch is kind of a control deck. And I would also make the argument that Noodles, in its old form, was kind of a control deck. This also feels like a control deck, but like for a different reason. Like, this just feels like, let's make the game as slow as possible and make it a control deck. Because, like, we're not using anything special to try and kill our opponent. We're just trying to not die and then slowly whittle them down. Whereas Noodle Ninjas would actively try and burn your opponent to death and then try and attack in for some damage where you could. And Blue Eyes will try and pick off your opponent's resources, but will, again, just play a straight up, I'm going to summon out guys and just slap you as hard as I can game. Why do you have the game in Japanese? Because this is not our game we're watching. This is a stream by a Japanese player by the name of Moki Moki or Angry Angel. So if I do !Angel Cup in the chat, you can see that he has his YouTube channel, Twitter, and Discord server. And this is basically a Japanese tournament that we're just commentating over. So we have a 5,500 attack Mirror Innovator. In most situations, that would just end the game, especially since none of that back row was chainable. But we've gained so many life points, it's only knocked us down a half. 17 cards in deck to 16 cards in deck as well. Even though we have been spamming cards back into our deck. I suppose, to be fair, Mirror Innovator does also put a lot of cards back into the deck. I don't know how much Bicorn action we've seen this game. I think we saw one early. So we are going to summon out the Shoulder Foam Nian Nian. We are going to reduce the attack of the Mirror Innovator and add the D and Keto, the Boogie Master, back to hand. So we can distribute 2 monsters, summon it out, attack over, and get in a free 600 damage. If we have access to a Fashion of Faith, we could bump that up to 1,200 damage. There's a Rhythmical Performer. We have milled a Legend Trap, which is actually huge. We are going to summon out the Yami Ruler as well. Activate to gain 1,000, and we're going to also Yami Lock as well. Attack in for the 600 damage, putting our opponent down to 700, and is unable to tribute summon this turn, which is pretty big. Now, again, we still are going to have access to those Aim Eagles, so we can bypass that effect. But leaving anything in attack mode here is going to be super spooky. We are going to activate the Legend spell to reduce down to 100, but in order to find lethal, we have to summon out a 4,900 attack monster. Now, if we get out an Innovator with Aim Eagle, that will be 34. Then we can get up to what? 41. It is doable. It is technically doable. Moki Moki is the organizer of the tournaments streamed by Apaki. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep track of it all because I don't read Japanese. 5,000 attack. We are threatening lethal. We have found the line. I believe none of that back row was chainable last turn. And there it is. We are going to find victory from the machine deck. Alright, so now we'll be going on to game 2. Be interesting to see who actually takes this overall. Because they're very different decks. And I suppose this, like, the stooly kind... I don't even know if stool is, like, the right name for it. But, like, it's a weird... It's a very, very strange deck. We actually did see people playing the Boogie Master plus... let's go back to the original song as well, I think. We did see people playing the Boogie Master plus Yami Ruler deck, like, back when Duel Links first came out, to some moderate success, again in a 40-card build. It's interesting to see that it's, like, making a little bit of a resurgence. So turn 1, we're going to summon out the D and Keto, we're going to activate the Fashion of Faith to get a draw, which is not bad. So I told you, if you can do a lot of damage in one push, you should win. I mean, you're not wrong, you did say that, and it did happen. That is a very good turn 1, right? 2 monsters in attack mode. Obviously not the best, you'd kind of rather not, but, like, we did get the free draw off of the Fashion of Faith, which was another playable card, which worked out very, very well for us. The only downside, I guess, is we didn't gain 1,000 life points, but that's because every card in our hand was useful. So, like, is that really a downside? Oh, we do not mill any boss monsters. Essel does bring back Rhythmical, we activate Rhythmical, and now we mill the Mirror Innovator right as we can't use it. We are going to activate the Iron Onslaught and pop a back row. It's completely random. We do hit a Blessing, which is fine. Activate the Aim Eagle, send it and Essel to the graveyard, and we will be special summoning from our hand. That's right, it's Gold Rush, 3,500 attack. Deck issue. Exactly, Zaki boys. Exactly. If only he had built his deck better, he would have just guaranteed milled the Innovator, got to cheat it out, and then be well on his way to winning the game. As is, all we did was summon out a 2,500 attack monster, getting for 1,000 damage, and we don't have any back row of our own, which means it shouldn't be too difficult. It's a tricky one. Without a good skill to boost our attack, actually getting over 25 is not super easy. Like, we have the Fashion of Faith, but it's already on the field, and its effect is only live the turn you summon it. Oh, he's playing Performer in Machines? He forgot to shuffle his deck again. Yeah, Performer is a card that I think is... like, you can play it in anything. I don't think I would play it in anything. So, there is an argument for playing it in Machines, because Machines don't plus a lot. They kind of... they're not very good at ending on a lot of cards a lot of the time. So, like, a chance to get a plus can just be the difference maker. Having, like, an extra back row, having an extra monster in defense can be really, really valuable. But it's all gambling. I think the chances of it working are so low that it's probably just not even worth it. Unless you have added value from putting Rhythmical in your deck, like we've seen SAR use it because it's a water monster, we see Psychic use it because it's a psychic monster. Unless you get that kind of extra value for having it, I don't like it in the deck personally. We are going to use the Mirror Innovator, put back the other Mirror Innovator up to 3,100, attack through 0 defense, guaranteed 3,100 damage, which is huge. We are then going to attack over a 1,400 defender and another 0 defense monster. So this is looking very good for the machine player right now. Our Aqua Warrior player, I'm just going to call it Stall. I think Stall's just easier. Our Stall player is struggling. Isn't necessarily out yet, but we do have to now answer this Mirror Innovator. We cannot afford to leave it on the field. And we're only on 19. We don't have a lot of resources to work with. So this is going to contest the Innovator, but it depends what that back row is going to be. I don't believe we've seen the negate attack yet, or in this case, it'll probably be Widespread Ruin. So there's a chance that that is a widespread back there. We're going to have to wait and see what it is. We do add back the D and Keto as expected. We're then probably just going to immediately tribute to summon out the D and Keto. Again, we cannot leave the Innovator. No matter what, that has to die this turn. Ooh. Okay, so we're going to plus off this, but where are we going? Because now we're basically committing to leaving a 1200 attack monster on the field, unless we have another boss. So we are going to activate Fashion of Faith. That is going to boost our attack, which is nice, but now we have 2 relatively weak monsters in attack. We do gain that 1000 to be a little bit of a cushion, and we do have access to the Talismanic Seal Array, which will put more cards back in our deck, as well as let us get more damage in. Again, assuming that back row is nothing. If that is a... I mean, let's face it, if that back row is just negate attack, the game is over. Oh, it's widespread. Of course it's widespread, not negate attack. But yeah, that is game over. Like, we can clear one, but then we should just be dead to the other 2, right? If we think about it, that's 400 damage, plus this guy can easily boost to 3000. This is potentially lethal on board. I don't know exactly what's in our graveyard, but yeah, that 1500 seals the deal. Yeah, this is just game. Looks like the... I don't know if we even want to call this deck relatively innovative, but like... This interesting new deck looks like is going to be losing here, as we see Machine the Meta Menace takes another W. Alright, let's see what goes on in the next game. So, let's go back to our bracket and see what is happening. So, who have we seen advance? So, interestingly, God, who we know to be playing Royal Rebel, did get 2-0'd by this player. We know that this is Blue Eyes. I don't believe we know what this guy's playing, but he did 2-0 now Neo, which is very interesting. This guy was... Oh yeah, we literally just watched this game, so we know exactly what these decks are. Then we had Squid did 2-1 Spacesaurus. Spacesaurus was on Overlord, so we still don't know what Squid's on. And then I don't think we know either of these, but Ra did get 2-0'd, which is very interesting. Ra probably was playing Psychic. Ra is the kind of player that plays one deck over and over and over and over again. He was playing Royal Rebels with Essel and the Barrier. Ooh. Right, I'm not a fan of that, personally. But, you know, I would like to watch this game down here, personally. This is what I would like to watch, because we haven't seen either of these players yet in the event, and I like to have all of the top 8 lists, ideally, and the best chance of us getting that is by watching this game. We're waiting for them to pick a game to watch. And once they do, we will be going over there. But it's interesting. So we have now seen Machine. We have still not seen a Psychic game yet, which is very interesting. Has Psychic been getting knocked out of the tournament? Or have we just not seen any Psychic players yet? Maybe they are here and we're just not watching them. Okay, it looks like we're jumping into another game. If we get rid of that. So this is the game we did want to watch. So based on the skills, or the type of skill here, I'm going to assume this is going to be Blue Eyes at the top. And at the bottom, this could be anything. This could be Overlord, this could be Machines. I guess statistically, Machines is probably the most likely. So let's go ahead and update the player names. Ah, big long name. Alright. So. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is... Is this aggro with Mini Wilhel versus Blue Eyes? So we are going to take a look. That is the Barrier. Or the Guard even. Not the Barrier. This is very interesting. We've just gotten in because of our big Sword and Shield play for 5,000 damage immediately. What is... Oh, wait a minute. Is this Mighty Gaze? Is this Mighty Gaze with, like, worms? And then, like, a Wilhel engine? This is very interesting. I don't know. How do we put this on the tier list? Or on the spreadsheet. This is probably going to be... I'm assuming this is Mighty Gaze. This might not even be Mighty Gaze. We don't know. We genuinely have no idea. This is what Bismuth lost to? So this isn't the player that beat Bismuth, but he could be on the same deck. I assume that's what we're getting at here. So is this what Now was playing? Alright, so we are going to activate our first copy of the Guard. Don't know if it is the same. Okay, but it's a similar build. It's a similar idea, I assume. So did Bismuth post that, like, he lost to this somewhere? Like, did he post on Twitter or did he post on a Discord or something? Apparently, the version Bismuth faced used a load of back row. And was the skill Mighty Gaze, is my next question. Because Mighty Gaze obviously doesn't care about what monsters you're using, which would explain how we're able to use a bunch of Cyburst monsters, right? Now, my assumption is we've just set Mini Wilhel, because Mini Wilhel doesn't do anything here. In our team chat. I see. I lost to another player, but it was Asana. I see. Welcome on, Bismuth. It's an like. So is this becoming a deck? Like, is this becoming a thing? Is that people are now going to be playing the, like, ooh, Burst Stream of Destruction? Like, is this a deck that's now going to start making the rounds, just like that, like, stall deck from before? We are going to activate the Guard. That will keep us alive. But this is looking very precarious. And there it is. That is going to be... We cannot survive the third attack. Or second attack, I guess, because the first... Yeah, because it was Burst Stream Destruction, then we stopped one with the Guard, and then just the second attack got through. I think they're testing for Worldstrike, like a 5th deck. The thing is, I think there's easily like 5 or 6 viable decks you can play for Worlds. And I think using it in a venue like this, where everyone can see it, is like... It's like giving up the goose, right? It's showing your hand before you've played it. You could have just like... You could have just not and had it be a big surprise. But if players do bring it to Worlds, that will be very exciting. We are going to set 5. The logic is, if you both get to 5th deck, outing a Worm Max might be hard. Oh, I guess because you've already used... Like, you've probably already used Machines. You've already used your Royal Rebel, presumably. Some players might be on, like, Aqua. And Aqua doesn't easily out a Max. I mean, deck submission is closed. I mean, yeah. Set Mighty Gaze is a deck to be honest, usually Magnum Overlord was the maximum of choice, but maybe this player prefers Excavator. Well, apparently there's more than one of them in the tournament, so... Is that Red Eyes? So this is Red Eyes Monarchs. This was the Whistling Bird special. Even if deck submissions are closed, though, Promanicus, it's still different from, like, mentally preparing yourself to deal with it beforehand. Even if you can't, like, change your deck to, like, counter it, just knowing it's coming still can be. Ooh. So another thing to note is this player is playing at least 2 copies of Blue Eyes Bright. So it looks like we're going all in on the use Bright's effect to pop more than we care about getting the Mega Wilhel effect off. Okay, where are we going from here? We're going to draw our 5 cards. We still have maintained our 6,000 life points thus far. It looks like we're just all in on this max strat. We're just waiting until we draw the maximum, and then we're going to try and use that to close the game. We're going to keep using our traps. We're going to keep setting monsters. We're just going to try and stall, especially because our opponent has used his Burst Stream of Destruction, which means he's not going to be able to use that to clear the way to get direct attacks in. Summon, Tribute. This should be Mini Wilhel. Mini Wilhel's going to try and pop a back row. There should be a high likelihood of hitting a trap, and there is one of the traps. Where are we going to go from here? With no face-up monsters, we can't make good use of Blue Eyes Bright. And this is something that the Blue Eyes decks in general always struggle with. It's just beating set 3 pass. Mega Monarch can help with that. Sometimes it doesn't, unfortunately. We'll have to wait and see. We are going to swing in with the Mini Rule Hell. We are going to activate the Recital that we already knew was there. So we don't even get to clear all 3. This presumably was there to obviously help, again, with the stalling. But also, we're able to free up a back row slot, since there's probably quite a high chance we draw into more trap cards. We are going to activate the Monster Reincarnation. Chances are... Okay, so we're not grabbing a max piece because we just don't have much in there. This was probably there to try and fix the hand a little bit so we can set 3 and get as many spell traps on the field as possible. Also, hello Grand, welcome to the stream and thank you for the lurk. Have you been doing commentary for the Angel Cup in the past, or is this new? So we've done it a little bit, but like we didn't want to do it without permission, so we actually just sent Moki a message and was like, yeah, do you mind if we just like restream your stream and do commentary for it? And he was like, yeah, that's cool, don't worry about it. So this is the first time we're doing it like properly. Before we do like the odd game, like we watch one game and commentate over it. Okay, so this is a little bit spooky, but we do have 3 back row. That's very kind of them. Yeah, they were really chill about the whole thing. It was, you know, we were obviously very gracious. We were like, thank you for giving us your permission, blah, 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 blah. I guess this type of gameplay is the reason why Konami is afraid of releasing more good traps. I mean, you're not wrong. In the physical Rush game, by this stage, we would have had so many more traps and so many good traps. We're still missing cards from the starter decks in the physical game. Like both Dragon and Spellcasters. Obviously, Dark Revelation is the one everyone knows about, but like Dragonic Counterattack isn't there. We're missing the plant trap cards that I believe we would have had by now. We're missing even the traps that just bring monsters back from the graveyard. We don't have the Cuckoo Clock to bring back Night Vision. We don't have Mirror Ball to bring back the Keto. We don't have the Worm Trap. I forget what it's called, but that one lets you bring back a worm after it's been destroyed. Like there's so many like really good traps we just don't have access to. But we do have these really broken skills. And I think a big part of that is the physical game, all the way through the early like lifespan of the game, was all tier 0. So they're like, all right, we're going to give us less interesting back and forth because we're losing access to these like really good traps. In exchange, we're going to have variety. And I think that is a good thing, because I think a lot of people would come into Rush, see everyone's just playing the exact same decks over and over, and be like, this is awful. I don't want to just play the same game again and again and again and again. So I do think diversity was a smart decision. But again, it does mean that the game becomes, make my board, slam into your board and break it, pass turn, your turn, you make your board, you slam into mine, you break mine. Like, outside of very few trap cards, we have to interact with that. That is the entire game. And that's not what Rush really is in the JP game. Now, there is that to a certain extent, but traps do play a big role in the JP physical card game, which they're just not playing in Duel Links right now. So we're going to Tribute 2, summon out the Excavator. We're going to activate our skill to get the Mighty Gaze onto the field. So we can activate this if we want. It looks like we're not going to. We just didn't want to draw into it. So we can clear. We are going to clear for the 100 damage, and then we will attack into the defense. There is a delay. We will clear the Mini Will Hell. Draw 1 card for turn. So we have 6 cards in hand to work with. How many turns does a typical physical Rush game play out? How likely would it be to get, say, blown out by a broken trap, i.e. Dark Revelation, and then lose on the crackback? So if we're talking about right now in the game, I would say games tend to go to around probably somewhere between turn 6 and turn 12. Like, you will get very short games that are just kind of over very quickly, but you will get games that go on to like turn 12 and you'll be like very close to decking out, because again, in the physical game we have a lot more cards that draw, we have a lot more cards that mill, so you do go through your deck very, very quickly. If we're talking about like where we would be if we were following the timeline as to kind of be similar to where we are in Duel Links, the game basically became, do you have... So it was all playing around Dark Revelation. So it was like, how many monsters do I want to have in attack mode versus how many monsters do I leave in defense mode? The same way you play around like a Mirror Force, right? And then it would come down to, well, it doesn't matter if my board gets blown out because I have my own Dark Rev to stop you. So it can come down to who runs out of Dark Rev first. If obviously you know all 3 of your opponent's Dark Revelation are in the graveyard, then you could just go hog wild, right? It doesn't matter. You can just slam in. They're not going to stop you at that point. So that's kind of what the games would boil down to. We know the back row is slime. He revealed it with the Monarch. I see. I was not paying attention. I was too busy rambling because I love the sound of my own voice. But now the question is, what are we actually going to do from this position? We don't want to like overcommit, but both players are still healthy. 6,000 versus 5,900. Rush tourney, yes, it's a Rush tourney, Globex. Welcome on in. We are currently watching a game. I believe this is quarterfinals? Yeah, this is a quarterfinal game. Looks like none of the semi-final games have begun yet. This and one other quarterfinal game currently going on. Be interesting to see who comes out on top. I'm not paying attention, bad spectator. Listen, right? We can't, you know, we have to be a commentator and a streamer, right? We have to pay attention to the chat, make sure everyone's engaged. We also have to pay attention to the tournament. It's not easy to split. So we are going to use the Blue Eyes White Dragon effect. Because we have a legend monster on the field, we do get to pop the Wilhel. We cannot pop the Excavator because it is level N. We do have a monster that can attack. If this is able to clear, we can get in for 2,400 damage, but we have the Recital. Of course we have the Recital. We've got 3 back row. It's always going to be something along those lines. And we do actually kill our opponent's Boltracorn as well. Which, I mean, is not a bad hit. It's not a bad hit. 1 back row, 3 monsters, but again, 5,900 life. Both players are probably more likely to deck out rather than actually take each other's life points away. Both of these decks able to just make these really big boards. We're also not seeing many maximum pieces in the maximum player's graveyard. So that tells me they're all in the hand, or they're all still in the deck, or we're just not playing that many. Are there any cards that reshuffle spell traps in Physical Rush? So there are a couple that do spells. There are none that do traps, to my knowledge. I would have to double check that, but I am almost certain there is no way to put a trap card back in your deck. I can think of 1 card that does spells, and I can think of no cards that do trap. And the 1 card that does spells is very, very good as like a staple, called Galactica Jamais Vu. And then, you know, there's also... It doesn't put them back in the deck, but you have Magical Stone Excavation as well, which is limit 1. Which, again, very, very powerful. The Sea Serpents recycle traps to the field. That's close enough. Oh, yeah, there are cards that do put traps onto the field, to be fair, yes. The fish do that. Sea Serpents do that. Magnets do that. There are a lot that put them straight onto the field, but it's like specific traps. It's like, you can get back this named trap card, rather than get back any trap you want. So you're not being able to, like, recycle legends, for example. But there are no cards in the game that put traps from your graveyard back into your deck, as far as I can remember. I heckin' love water decks. I mean, who doesn't love a good water deck? Alright, so here comes the mini Wilhel. We will take another peek. This has got to be so frustrating, by the way. Whenever Wilhel hits a trap card, it is annoying at the best of times because you know the odds are in your favor to hit a spell card. But when you're playing against a deck that is running so many trap cards, it is so much more frustrating. We will be using the effect of our Blue Eyes Bright, which will immediately pop. This is actually very important because this will turn off any recitals that might be lingering. So this is probably just going to force out a good trap, either a slime or a negate attack. There's the slime. We have cards that do that, but only for opponent. Well, they don't count. When are you ever going to give your opponent back their trap cards? Worm Max can recycle traps, but again, not generic enough. You are also very, very true. We have that right now as well. The thing is, that never comes up. Like, I can't think of a single time where that's ever actually mattered outside of Rush. And outside of Duel Links. And even in Duel Links, it's very few and far between. Set. Well, once again, 7 cards left in deck, and we're going to be going down to 5 cards left in deck for the the Red Eyes player. Yuga playing Worms? Yes, so Yuga, the Yuga player here is on Set Mighty Gaze of the Sky Emperor, which is a generic level 10 skill. So as long as you're playing a level 10 monster, you can make good use of the skill. So it works with any maximum. This is also the skill that we're seeing play with Dynamix to try and make that remotely playable, as well as we've seen it played with... We did see a little bit of play with Yggdrago, but Yggdrago doesn't need it. So the primary deck we've seen it being played with is actually Overlord. And it did actually win an Angel Cup in the past, an Overlord deck playing Mighty Gaze of the Sky Emperor. So we are going to go for a normal summon of Picklon the Constructor Berry. I don't remember if that's his English name. That's his Japanese name. We're going to summon out Siesta Torero. So we're going to put cards back into our deck. Our deck is looking very, very thin right now. The problem is we're in a situation where we can't just set 3. We will deck out before our opponent. So we're being forced to play proactively, even if we don't necessarily want to. This is going to get spicy, because if we do actually manage to get out the maximum, like, where do we go from there? The maximum draws us cards. We don't have a deck that we want to be drawing cards from. I don't know how we win this game as the Worm player. We need, like, another Talismanic Sailor Ray to just fill our deck with cards. Because even Sky Emperor flips a card up and draws us a card. We don't want to be drawing cards. So we go for an attack. If this connects, it's only 1,000 damage. There's the negate attack. I don't... So, of the mindset use it or lose it, there is a guy on the field that can pop back row. So, there is that. At the same time, like, it didn't really matter. And we're going to refill our deck as well as have a way to potentially out this guy. Even if our opponent has access to really good trap cards to protect this, chances are it can't stop 3 attacks. Now, we could see, like, Recital, and then it gets popped, and then we activate, for example, Blessing to pop another card, but we'd still have 1 direct attack coming. Well, nah, not necessarily. It really depends on what the back row is. There's still... I think it's unlikely that the Excavator survives this turn, at the very least. We'd have to have exactly negate attack. Which, to be fair... Oh no, negate attack is in the graveyard. So yeah, I don't see the Excavator surviving this turn. Any spice left in the tournament? I mean, we're seeing Excavator Mighty Gaze currently. That's probably, like, pretty spicy. Yes, someone on beatdown? Unfortunately not. Why didn't he pop the back row? He didn't pop the back row because he didn't want to draw any cards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the draw is mandatory. And if he had done that, his opponent would only have to end the turn to win the game, because he would draw out 4 cards left in his deck. Oh no, he wouldn't have lost the game. He'd had 0 cards left in deck, though, for the following turn. But you return 1 in deck. That makes sense. It just goes to show how little I actually play with the Worm Excavator, doesn't it? So are the same as now? Well, we're going to summon out the maximum again. So like you say, there's no reason to not pop the back row. So we are going to do that. We put, by the look of it, we just put the slime back into the bottom of our deck. We're at 4,400 attack. There's just no feasible way to find lethal, like, at all. We can't get our attack high enough. So we're gonna... Okay. We're discarding a card and drawing a card. I'm not... Are we looking for traps to play around? I mean, we've made our deck smaller, which is kind of spooky. We've also just done less damage. The thing is, If we have the ability to just set cards, can't we just win? Like, can't we deck our opponent out? If we just don't set any back row, he can't pop back row, which means he can't put cards back in his deck. And he can only attack once each turn. So, like, isn't this just over? It doesn't matter, they'll draw the same amount total. Yeah, exactly. Pop your own back row. That's a good point. Pop your own back row, put a card back into your deck. Will you eventually deck out doing that? Because you always do it after drawing for turn. Which means you'll always... No, because you draw a card after you put the card back, so you will eventually deck out. I can only assume... That's lethal. That's 42. Just set Mighty Gaze is just... It's too good, being able to flip cards. Why not put back Talismanic? That is an excellent question. Something we might never know, because I can't speak Japanese. But... It did it, it won, and now they're both 1-all, so we'll actually get to see a Game 3. This is a weird game. I think both players have been making some very interesting plays. And both players are on interesting decks. We have Red Eyes Monarchs, which is something that's been talked about a little bit, but Tomato thought there was no way to win. To be honest, I completely forgot that we were even on Mighty Gaze. Because it just hadn't been used. Like, it was used to change things to defense rather than change things from defense to attack. I hadn't, like, recalibrated. So we're going to set a monster, set another one, set a third monster, let's see if we do anything else. 3 sets and a back row. My question is, what were we thinking about? Why were we pausing? At what reason could you have to, like, hold on to those cards in hand? So we're going to summon out Picklon, activate the effect, discard draw, summon out Wilhel, take a peek. We'll get to pop one of the back row. Interestingly as well, we are on the Dragon back row hate. Summon out a second mini Wilhel, and we'll get a second pop. Massive value from the Wilhels. And we'll get to clear 2 monsters, including a Red Eyes Black Chick and a cut. I mean, it makes sense, right? You can use Kyberman to just cheat out the Blue Eyes Bright Dragons and act as getting them out a little bit cheaper. And it works. So we'll summon out Rhythmical Performer, activate the effect. We do get a draw off of that. And notably, Rhythmical Performer should be a lot more live against this deck because it's just playing so many trap cards. Right, since we're on game 3, let's get some uplifting going. We're going to summon out the Kyberman. Activate Kyberman to cheat out a Blue Eyes Bright Dragon. Now, where do we go from here is the question. We're going to tribute 2. And we just have the Red Eyes. Didn't even need the skill. Activate Blue Eyes Bright, which will let us pop one of the mini Wilhels. So we currently have 3,400 damage on board, assuming that back row doesn't stop us. Normal summon the Siesta Torero. So it is arguably better to use that if that back row doesn't stop our attack. If that back row is like exactly, I guess, what, Recital, then that's kind of a problem. We're gonna... So this plays around Recital. Doesn't play around much else. But we have just gotten in for 5,400 damage, which is actually huge. So... Now, can our Mighty Gaze Worm player find a way around this, is the real question. Looks like we have... Oh, we have all kinds of bricked. That's kind of spooky. Have you fully abused the Earth Day in this event yet? I have not touched the Duelist Kingdom event today, I can tell you that much. But welcome on in, rain down. So the hand could be tribute monsters, but it could just as easily be like spell traps. Like we could have just drawn all spell traps. So there's the recital. That'll stop one of these attacks. There's a second recital. We do not stop the third attack though. With only 600 life points to work with, everything is now scary. In the first game, we went so deep whilst both players still had plenty of life points left, and now that is definitely not the case. 6,000 to 600 is super spooky. 1.5C skill drain. I'm nuts. I mean, yeah, skill drain just kind of nuts regardless, right? Alright, let's see what we have. We're going to go for the defensive. Unfortunately, just one defense monster again. Oh no, are we just drawing more spell traps, or do we have high level in hand that we can't use? We could have 2 excavator in hand. We could have 2 middle piece excavator just unable to play the game. Tribute 1, summon out the Will Hell. Activate the Will Hell. Take a look at a back row. Well-timed burst stream can win this game. You are 100% right. No matter what the back row is. I mean, I guess it would have to come down to, does our opponent have slime or negate attack, and are they live? Do we find them? Imagine this is how Worlds plays out, just lose because of a brick. The thing is, it is likely. There will be bricks at Worlds. That is going to happen. Will the grand final end because of a brick? There is a chance. I've told the story before, but I was spectating one of the Magic the Gathering World Championship final games, and one of the players got land flooded and just couldn't do anything. He could drop land every turn, but you couldn't make any plays because he had too many lands in his hand. Unfortunately, it's just a thing in card games. It will happen. Now, it's a bit weirder when you get to like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Because now it's like, did I draw the right hand traps? Did I find my 1-card combo? So like, things are almost so hyper, like, consistency, that everything's so hyper consistent that you need to find like precise hands to like make everything work. But like every other card game, and every card game that's a bit simpler, is just like, just don't draw enough of the bad stuff that you can't win. What happened there? What was that? Was that? Again, we don't speak Japanese. We have no idea what's going on here. Let's see. Worm Bear deck. Maybe very well could be. There's suddenly a lot of chat going on, so it'll be interesting to see if something has happened, or if they're going to do anything about this, or if we're just, that's just it, that's just the game. Well, while we wait for that to get clarified, if we go back over to the brackets, we can see that, unfortunately, we don't get to see what this player was playing. We haven't seen the player in the first position's deck, but we do know that this matchup is going to be... Oh, what was this? This was Blue Eyes versus... What was Mornak playing? Mornak was playing... Is he the Aqua player? This might be another Blue Eyes. I can't recall. We don't know what Squid's playing yet, but I would assume we'll get to see that relatively soon. And then we don't know what's going on. This is the game we're watching right now. So, not like this. It was Stool versus Machines. Ah, right. So that was the Machine player then. So Machines versus Blue Eyes going on up in the semi-final. And down here, we still don't know what Squid's playing. But we presumably, if this decision goes through, it looks like they're still discussing it. it does look like it's going to be the Worm Excavator Mighty Gaze deck advancing. So we'll have to wait and see what is decided. Either way, very exciting top 4. Right, notably, we have not seen a single Psychic player today. Now, is that because all the Psychic players got knocked out very, very early? Or are they just not about? Now, again, Squid could be playing Psychic. We don't know that they're not. But we have literally not spectated a single one in the game. Enter Dean in the tournament. Quantum Cubes showing up in the JP chat. Now, we kind of just have this like little bit of a lull. It's interesting that we haven't seen a lot of these decks. Again, we haven't seen any Psychic yet. We haven't actually seen any Cyburst yet either. Like, we've seen Cyburst cards being played. But that's it. Like, we haven't actually seen the Cyburst deck. We did see a lot of Royal Rebels. We have seen both a pure Aqua deck, and we have also seen Aqua cards being played in, like, the Stool deck, which is interesting. SAR, we haven't seen at all. We've seen a ton of Blue Eyes. We haven't seen any Ice Arc. I do wonder if people have just fallen off of Ice Arc just because both SAR and Psychic do exist. So they're just kind of like, well, why would we play a deck that's arguably worse than them? We did also see a single player on Overlord, and we did see a single player on Worms, which is the one that we were just spectating. Although, calling it Worms, I think it still counts as Worms. It's just an interesting Mighty Gaze Worm build, right? I've never seen him play Psychic, so it's unlikely. Did Squid not play Psychic in the Testing for Worlds format event, though? I'm pretty sure that was one of his 5. Or one of their 5. Right, let's see if any decision has been made here. It looks like players are leaving the room. Tier 4 shouldn't exist. Why not, Quantum? What's your logic for Tier 4 not existing? Because there is always going to be tiers below. They're just tiers that people don't talk about. I think having more tiers to talk about is a good thing. It allows people that play their kind of off-meta, roguey style decks to see whereabouts they place. Wow, would you look at that? they just briefly there showed Ursus's name on stream as the victor. Clearly a holdover from last time. Otherwise, I would add more decks to it. So, my point would be, because I believe some decks are better than those, what decks are not on this list that you think are better than these 3? Is my next question, Quantum. Like, what deck would you put in Tier 4 that is literally exactly the same power level or stronger than these 3 that isn't already on this list? Because I'm very curious to know which ones you would actually put on there. Because I struggle to think of any other deck that's not already on this list. Dragonic Resonance. Now, Dragonic Resonance, to be fair, is a deck that was doing dog shit until about a week ago. Like, Dragonic Resonance has been underperforming, and this list was last updated on the 21st of the 8th. So, in the last week, the deck's been doing a bit better. Before then, the deck was doing shit. So, like, I get what you're saying, and if we were to update the tier list, then we would be putting Royal Resonance a little bit higher. But, realistically, I think Resonance is probably a tier 3 deck. I think it's probably not even a tier 4 deck. And Buster Blader, again, Buster Blader is a weird one. I don't know if I think Buster Blader is better than Vulcan and Thunder. Like, the deck's fine. But I think Resonance is a weird one. Oh, it looks like we're jumping back into the game. It looks like we're doing a replay of the last game. So the final game we just watched, we're having a do-over. So this is still going to be the same decks. This is still going to be the Worm Excavator Mighty Gaze deck versus the Red Eyes Monarchs. So we're going to tribute 2. We're going to summon out the Worm Excavator middle piece. We're going to set the Mighty Gaze from the deck, and we're going to set another back row. Ooh, that was a bit of an awkward hand that we opened there with 2 tribute monsters. So we summon out the Boltricorn. We will be turning off one of those cards, and we mill the Burst Stream, which is kind of painful. That is a very strong tool for this deck. So we'll summon out Rhythmical, activate Rhythmical, both milling pretty good cards. Summon out everyone's favorite Kyberman, activating its effect, so we will get to cheat out a Bright from hand. Then we're going to set a back row, activate Bright's effect, which milling the negate attack is so painful. But now we can clear over this monster. We do have one back row still live. It looks like it's not actually activatable from this position, so it's probably a spell card. We will get in. Or it could, no, I think it would have to be a spell. If it was the guard, it could have activated. If it was the... pretty much any of the traps would have been able to be activated there. So we're summoning out Picklon. Summoning in attack mode. Losing NAM Burst Stream hurts. Yeah, that is really bad. Really, really bad. It sucks even more because the Blue Eyes player was in a dominant position before the disconnect. Or whatever happened. We are going to be activating our Mighty Gaze, discarding. We don't get the draw because we don't have a level 10. So we did that just to empty the hand, but we did lose a normal summonable monster. So we could have just set a guy, and we chose not to. We chose to empty our hand entirely rather than have 2 monsters on the field. Yeah, Quantum, where's the tournament signups? He's slacking. Tribute 2. Summoning out the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Again, we have no way to, like, guarantee this. We're just hard drawing it every time. We are going to activate the Burst Stream of Destruction. We'll pop the Wilhel. Oh, he didn't draw Mill Slime because he drew it. You can't mill it if you've already drawn it. Exactly. We will pop a back row, and that was a Recital. And it looks like, unless our back row is something good, we might just die. This does threaten lethal. We are going to have something, and it is the best possible card negate attack. Now, we could have had a guard to stop this as well, but we would have been in a much worse position. We would have taken at least 3,500 damage. But negate attack coming in very clutch. Let's see if the Worm player can find anything to keep him in this game. We're going to set 1, set 2, set 3 monsters, and set a back row. So we do not have 3 back row, which is a little bit spooky. For a deck that plays so much back row, you would expect him to have 3 every turn. We are going to activate Gunfire. We're going to pop one of them. Ooh. I mean, we should still be fine. Blue Eyes, again, is not a very strong deck at beating set 3 pass. So chances are we're not going to get any damage in. There is still a slim chance that we could, but like, we need like, what, Tribute to the Doomed or something? We'll slam over the Picklon. So we have 6 cards to work with here on the Crackback. And we use the word Crackback very loosely. Chances are we're just going to be, again, either walling up or trying to actually summon out the maximum. Okay, we're keeping 2 cards in hand again. Without Burst Stream, it will be hard to beat set 3 pass. Exactly. Exactly, Dwan. Activate the effect, milling another card, and that mill might actually matter. It depends. So we'll swing over this. So already we have seen no... Oh, there's the first guard. Putting 3 cards back in the deck can be really, really big. Already we've seen there's no Recital. And that also means there's no Blessing as well. So we're kind of relying on another guard. Or we can just... Alright, we're choosing to stop this attack. We could have taken this hit, but we'd only been on 800 life points, which is super scary. So 3 cards back into the deck, negate the attack. We do get to survive another turn. We now have 15 cards in our deck as well. Hello, Kim friend. Why Reddit comeback to hate Orcust even it's not meta? 3 days ago, they just want it free. Listen, release Orcust from the list. That's all I'm saying. Just release all the Orcust cards could come off of the list. Don't worry about it. If it's a problem, just put them back on afterwards. Just see what happens. Reddit has a reputation of not being the brightest. I mean, you're not wrong. Right, set. Where else do we go from here? What's going on in the other game? So we've already had the other game come to conclusion, and it looks like the Blue Eyes player did best the Machine player. So we have a Blue Eyes player in the finals already. We still have another semi-final game after this. This is still a quarter-final game, by the way. So where are we going with this? We have the Alligator out now. I'm not even sure why we're playing the Alligator, to be honest. Does the Alligator really fit in with the game plan of this deck? We have 2 cards stuck in our hand. 1 back row to try and protect us. It'll be interesting to see if we can break this. So we already know we can use the Blue Eyes Bright. We can pop the Alligator. Then we can just get a normal summon. So it's basically... we don't necessarily die here. But unless... it's tricky. It's definitely tricky. Definitely tricky. It has to be slime. But it doesn't necessarily. If it is a recital or a blessing, we can still survive the turn. So that dies. Looks like it's going to be slime. It is slime. Okay. Also could have been a 3rd guard as well to survive the turn. Here we go. Summoning out the maximum. So now we can pop the back row. How much damage is this currently? If we pop the back row and get a draw... then that means we'll gain an extra 300, which is just over lethal, right? So that should be a good game. 3,200 damage. And that's going to be it. So that means going into the semi-final, we're going to have whatever Squid's playing versus this weird... Oh, we're doing this as well, are we? Just for the... We have lethal. We are literally playing at this point. It does not matter. Am I... My maths isn't wrong, right? We had lethal. We had 32. And we've just set a card. Yeah, we're just, we had 100% lethal. And we just threw it away for no reason. Also, hello, Monosync. Welcome, welcome. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, we still have to out a 4100 dude. That might not be easy. Like, we're just giving up anyway. Oh my. I mean, right, if he had nothing to stop it, then you've got nothing to stop it, right? If our opponent doesn't have exactly what, like Tribute to the Doomed or Talismanic Seal Array, we can't beat it. We know 100% we can get set Mighty Gaze of the... Or we can use set Mighty Gaze of the Sky Emperor. Use Mighty Gaze of the Sky Emperor. Flip something into attack over it, and kill either way next turn. But Jesus, that was trying to throw as hard as possible and not quite able to do so. Oof, oof. So, what that does mean is this will be advancing, and we will be seeing the semi-final game next, which is going to be Squid versus Worm Excavator, and then whoever wins there will be advancing to play against this lovely player, who is going to be on the Blue Eyes Monarch. So it seems like Blue Eyes Monarch has made it further than Red Eyes Monarch. No real surprise there, but he milled shield and sword, so he didn't play Tribute to the Doomed. That is a good point as well, which I guess is a little bit of hubris, because shield and sword is really good against some matchups, but really pants against others. And again, it does not respect maximum monsters. Blue Eyes in general doesn't have many good ways to deal with maximums. Realistically, if your opponent slaps one down, it's TSA, burst stream, or bust. So not running that Tribute to the Doomed is a little bit spooky. Advanced BM, let your opponent know you could have killed them. Let them live, make them surrender. I mean, too advanced for me. Too advanced for me. I'd probably just throw. That'd just be my secret weapon. I would just lose. I'm not sure it would necessarily be considered a weapon, but it's what I would probably end up doing. So now we'll just wait for that game to begin. It's been quite a good one. We've had like quite a lot of good players in this event. It's a shame, again, a lot of the Westerners went out so early. You know, we did see, unfortunately, Dwan get out. Gozu went out in the first round. Bisma. We had Soramir went out so early. We didn't even get to see what Sora was on, which is a bit of a shame. I would have liked to see what Sora was playing. Deku. We had so many like good players just go out so early, which is a shame. But we saw Playfaker go out. But again, it's still been quite an exciting event, even with all of these like big names leaving. Even Ra went out in his first game as well. So many of like the household names are the ones that have been dropping like flies, which I suppose does give some of these other players room to kind of spread their legs, and we do get to see some of these other players and what they've got for us. And so far, they haven't really been disappointing. We have seen some very questionable plays at times, but even the games which have been not executed the best have still been very enjoyable and very exciting to watch. So there is always that. It looks like the semi-final game will be beginning shortly. We're just waiting for that to start, and as soon as it does, we will throw us over and take a look at those games. More specifically, it's going to be exciting to see what exactly Squid is playing. It looks like that's going to be starting momentarily. Spread their wings, not spread their legs. You're right. Stretch their legs is the phrase we were looking for. That is something you'll find we do quite a lot. We end up merging two different like phrases together and making something completely strange that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But we will be going into this game. Let's see what Squid is playing. So Squid is going to be at the top, and I really don't know what they're on. They could be on Set Mighty Gaze themselves. They could also be on, let's say, Machine. They could be on Overlord. They could be on Ridercross for all we know. So, as we can tell just by looking, we've decided to... One player has gone with the no sleeves, no mat. The other player has gone for the... God, what's it called? Signup? I believe it's the Signup. We are going to open with Boltricorn. This doesn't actually reveal very much. And we've milled Gazelle. So this is telling me this could be SAR. This very much could be SAR. You need a Hordy Bonk emote? No. So we are going to activate... Okay, so we're tributing off, so it does not matter that we used it at the inopportune time. We are going to summon out everyone's favorite big Sevens Roadie boy, and we're going to immediately take away half of our opponent's life points. But our board is a bit pitiful. One back row and a 2100 attack. Crimson Dragon, Signup. I mean, it's still a Signup. It's just all of them together. So we're going to activate Picklon. Going to discard a Excavator piece, draw a card. We do have to get through this one back row. Our back row is also still turned off because of Voltricorn. We're going to tribute it to summon out the Wilhel, activate the effect, and it is the negate attack. Oh, that is a little bit tough to deal with, because now even if we do summon something that can be over the Sevens Road, we're not going to kill it unless we have back row hate. And I don't think this deck's playing any of the spell back row hate. I think the way we deal with back row in this deck is literally the Wilhels and the maximum itself. So it's not looking like it's going to be easy to get rid of this, but we are going to have to force it out at some point. Oh, this is looking awkward. So we are... Oh, this is kind of spooky. If we can't get rid of the Siesta Torero, we could just die on the crackback. Leaving it a monster with so few attack on the field is really not... Oh, we're going straight to battle. So we will declare the attack. Now, our opponent is going to use... Squid is going to be firing off the negate attack. Let's see where we go with this. So we have just a Sevens Row Magician. Our opponent has 2 back row. They could be anything. One of them was turned off during the last turn, so we would not have seen a delay even if it was activatable. We are going to summon out the Light Sorcerer of Sanctity. We're going to activate its effect immediately, which tells us we probably don't have another one. We're going to reduce the attack of the Little Wilhel. Now, we could just tribute over it and summon a Sevens Road Witch, which would be an excellent play to try and go in for lethal. But it's a bit risky into 2 back row. We are instead going to summon out the Flame Sorcerer. We'll be tributing both of them. And summoning out a second Sevens Road. So we'll flip up, activate both of the Sevens Roads effects. We're going to go both of them to 3000 attack. So this does threaten lethal if our opponent hasn't got anything. Is this it? And that's it. There's lethal. That's game 1 to Squid. SAR outperforming the Worms. I mean, that was very quick. And also, this now puts the nail in the coffin for no Psychic decks. There was a chance that the other player from the quarterfinals that we didn't get to see was playing Psychic. But other than that, we have seen no Psychic whatsoever in the top 8. So the SAR player will be starting first here. We're going to be setting a monster, setting another, setting a third, which is pretty standard. This is a pretty standard SAR open. There's no reason to leave a bunch of weak monsters in attack mode for no reason. Outside of maybe trying to bait your opponent into attacking so you can clap them back even harder. But I would never really recommend that. Now, our ideal for the SAR player is that our opponent is going to leave a bunch of monsters in attack mode so we can punish it and get a load of damage in. But is our opponent going to do that? Possibly. We are going to be flipping one of those cards up. And it is going to, unfortunately, be a monster that has quite high attack, which means we're only going to get it for 1200 damage, which is not a lot. And we get stuck with a card in our hand. That is not what we want to see. This is looking like this could be over rather quickly. What's in the final? The other finalist is Blue Eyes Monarch, and it will be playing against the winner of this game. There are so many hands that can just end the game on the spot here. If we have back row removal and just get rid of that one card, which it looks like we do, so now just a generic play plus like shield and sword is just game. Alright, it looks like we're not going to be doing that. We're instead going to be changing the monster to defense mode. We can still get in for a lot of damage, and we shouldn't really be too worried about the clapback. This isn't a very aggressive deck. Even if he does summon out like one boss monster and try and get in for some damage, we should maintain most of our field. We can also use the skill to boost the attack up, attack over this with our weakest monster, and then get in for something around 4000-ish damage. Why now? We've just thrown away 600 damage? For no reason. This is very weird. Usually, when we watch the Angel Cup, people aren't making this many mistakes, but we have been seeing a lot of mistakes. Now, again, we're 600 shy of what we should have done. We should have done an extra 600 damage here, which would have put our opponent down to 700 life points. I guess in the grand scheme, it might not matter, but if we do get our opponent in a situation where they're on 700 or lower life points, we basically did miss lethal. I suppose for some players, this is going to be a high-stress situation, so making some mistakes is fine, right? Like, nobody's perfect. Let's see what the Worm player has. Unfortunately, there's not going to be a ton we can realistically do from this position. Like, even if we draw out the entire max, that's probably the best case scenario. Just because the chances of getting killed through that, like, they're not impossible. They're not even, like, necessarily unlikely. This deck's probably playing Talismanic Seal Array. It's probably playing 7-0 Mage. So, like, there are still plenty of ways that we would be able to kill through it. But, like, if we just put things in defense, we'll get outed by the Tauner. So the Tauner does demand action. Ooh. Okay. This looks very bad for us. So, if we are able to find any 1600, we can boost it up to 24, which means we would leave our opponent on 100 life points. So I think we're playing around the fact, we're just hoping that our opponent just doesn't find a 16, because any 16 is also 7-0 Magician, which is just lethal, right? Because the skill is online, we can just search out SRM. I think I would have probably preferred just summoning out the Alligator in attack, clearing out the Tauner, and then going from there. I think I prefer that, and then this is just lethal. This is just lethal. That is game over. Because if in that situation, your opponent needs to find a second Tauner to end the game, right? Because if we only leave the Alligator in attack mode, this 7-0 Magician only gets to attack over the Alligator, and whatever the difference is there. Oh, we had the Mage anyway, so it might not have actually mattered. No, it wouldn't have mattered. Because he had the Mage, it was lethal even if you summon just Alligator. And there it is, just a quick 2-0. So yeah, that means we will be seeing Seven's Axel Road versus Blue Eyes in the finals. Spellcasters versus Dragons. Everyone's favorite matchup. So once again, we'll take a quick look over at the brackets, and we will be seeing... So the Blue Eyes player here went 2-1 into Machines, went 2-1 into the Mystery deck that we never got to see, went 2-1 into... Who was this? This was... Was this Aqua? I want to say this was Bubble Era that he beat. And he 2-0'd Gozu, who presumably Gozu was on Psychic, but Gozu also could have been on Machine. They tend to be his only card, his only decks that he plays. Isn't Mage only level 7? So Mage will reduce any monster. No, it's 7 and up, I think, is Mage. What we can do is go and have a look. That's something we can do. We'll come over here. I believe Mage is only 7 and up that it works on. One face-up level 7 or higher monster on your opponent's field. So yeah, it is 7 and up. But as we wait for the next game to start, which will be the finals, this will be a very exciting one. As we've seen, we did get a quick 2-0 with the SAR here. We did get a quick 2-1 over Space Saurus. What was Space Saurus playing? It's been so long ago. Check Tauner, please. You want us to look at Tauner? There you go. Change the battle position of one monster on your opponent's field. Magnum. Yes, Space Saurus was on Magnum. That is absolutely correct. That's great. It's a good thing Duante. He has much stronger memory than I do. Right, we will be jumping into the finals, though. So we'll go and grab the name of our Blue Eyes player quick. Okay, so not level lock? Correct. There is no level lock on the Torna. Alright. So, going into game 1. I suppose it's time. We'll spice up the music a bit, right? We'll go for... Here we go. Finals music. Let's go. So we've tribute set a monster on turn 1. So that's going to be some sort of level 6 spellcaster. We have used the Essel. We did find the Kyberman. We tribute over the Essel to summon out the Wilhel. We will reveal the Magical Stream, which will be a free plus, well, not plus 1, -1 to our opponent. +1 card advantage, kind of. Not really, because it's Rush. We will activate the second Wilhel. The amount of times we have seen double mini Wilhel on the first turn is insane. Apparently they always come in pairs. We also have the Particle Acceleration to finish off the final back row. We are absolutely dismantling this board. We will get to destroy the set Torna and get in for half of our opponent's life points on turn 2. Who does this player think he is? Does he think he's playing Psychic? This is going very, very well for our Blue Eyes player so far. Let's see if it can continue. So, leaving 2 monsters in attack mode against SAR would usually be a bad thing, but they have a combined attack of 5,000, and it's not easy for SAR to get a big chunk of damage in through 5,000 attack. It's very, very spooky for the SAR player. Coming in pairs gets you kicked out of a lot of shops. I can't think of a shop you wouldn't get kicked out of, to be honest. Pro-Manicist. We are going to normal summon out everybody's favorite little mage. We're then going to reduce the attack on the Blue Eyes by a smidge. We do not have access to our search, so we just have to hope we already have access to the SRM, which I assume we must do. We are going to activate the effect and presumably send another attribute to the graveyard. Then we can activate the SRM, which will clean up this board, but we are not brave enough to put whatever that last monster is in attack mode. So we can clear this up. We can get in for a little bit of damage. Nothing groundbreaking, but it is a start. Let's see what the Blue Eyes player has in response. So we're going to summon out the Rhythmical. We do not mill a Spell Trap, so we are not seeing that lovely plus. We're going to tribute over it and summon out Wilhel. Unfortunately, Mini Wilhel has nothing to pop here, so he's just going to kind of vibe. He does quite nicely threaten the Sevens Road Witch, which is something. Rough second SRM was milled. The question is Squid going to be on 2 or 3 copies of 7 SRM? Because a lot of people have moved down to 2. But that doesn't necessarily mean everyone is. Ah, we're going to give up the Witch. I do respect that. That's potentially less life points lost, but if we don't summon out another high attack monster... Okay, it didn't really matter at the end of the day then. So we are going to take 300 damage as we clear over the Sevens Road Magician. If that face down is the... Was it Warlock? No, Sorcerer. If it's Sorcerer face down, this could be really funny. Just punished for not doing a full clear. This is going to be a very tense turn, because this turn itself could decide the entire game. We do not have many life points to be playing around with. Realistically, just a burst stream of destruction here could just end the game. We're doing a long think, and it makes sense. Again, this could be an extremely pivotal turn for the entire tournament, really. We are going to immediately activate the Talismanic Seal Array. So... reducing by 16 is pretty good. Realistically, I don't think we're going to be able to find lethal here. We would need Gazelle. I think without Gazelle, we have no chance of finding lethal. There is a slim chance that with Gazelle we can find it, but then I don't know why we would do this first before summoning out an SRM. which tells me we probably just don't have access to the SRM. Okay, so we can boost this up by a further 800 up to 24. That will then be able to clear, get into 1600 damage, which is not bad. Again, we're not in a situation where we can easily try and push for lethal, so we just have to get in the damage where we can until we're ready to try and go for the big push, which realistically is going to be a sorcerer play. Set a back row, set another back row, leave a card in hand. Ooh, that could be huge. That could be an SRM. That could be a level 6, 16. Like, that could be a witch that we're just holding. But, like, I suppose there would be no reason to go hyper-aggressive there with witch. We could have obviously kept one of the spell traps in our hand, discarded it, got the search. No, we would have had to get both in hand. Yeah, there would be no reason to do so without having piercing anyway. I think the likelihood of that card in hand being a witch is probably quite high. We do get to set 6, which is kind of scary. It also means Gazella's not going to be in line because we still have a card in hand. Where are we going to go with this? Tribute. Summons out Torna. So this is a fantastic way to try and get through set 3 monsters. We flip up a 1200 attack Siesta Torero. So again, we still have the option to search. We did, presumably, I didn't really pay attention to what we did with the TSA, but we did use the TSA, so presumably there is SRMs in the deck available to be searched via the skill. Go ahead and activate the skill. We'll boost the Torna. So now we do have the option to get the search if we want it. Realistically, it's not worth it unless we had a way to weaken. That is very interesting. So we do just summon out the Sorcerer just as a 1300 beta. This theoretically clears, which it does. Down to 1700 life points on the Blue Eyes player. We are going to activate the skill. This will give us access to the Blue Eyes Bright, which we can get out for a lovely discount. So, the question is going to be, what are the other 3 cards in the hand? One of them was left there from the previous turn. So it could be a spell trap. Or it could just be a normal monster. It could have been anything, really. We had 6 cards on the field. We are going to use Zeus. We're going to put back Wilhel, and we're going to put back Essel. We're going to set a back row to our opponent's field. Then we're going to add the mini Wilhel. So we know we can get a free pop on that if we want, or we can take a look at the other cards. We are going to activate the Soul Drake. So now we are locked into only attacking with high-level monsters. Only our 8s are going to be able to attack this turn. We are going to use Rhythmical to get the mill. We do not find a plus. We can summon out the Wilhel, but again, this Wilhel can't attack. So chances are we're going to tribute over it. Now, are we going to... So we are going to take a look. We do see there is a negate attack, but that is such important information because now we can target it with Particle Acceleration, which is actually huge. Then we're going to summon out Kyberman. The last 2 cards were Kyberman and Bright. So now we could use Bright Effect, pop one of these monsters. Then we can go for the 2 attacks with a Blue Eyes and a Blue Eyes Bright at 3000. That is actually huge. So our opponent now needs that middle card to be Slime. It needs to be Slime. And that is going to be lethal. So that is 1-all, I believe. I believe that's 1-all. Oh, this is getting mighty spicy. I'm pretty sure Squid won game 1, right? I really need to, like, take a note of this or something. Alright, let's go into game 3. Yuga versus Otis. I mean, that is a game that happened. I don't know what you're referring to. Oh, are you talking about, like, SRM versus... But, alright, I don't know how much 7s you've seen, Manicus, but Otis has, like, 5 different decks. And none of them are Monarch, I'll tell you that much. Man, getting the free draw off of Rhythmical was always so good. I've seen it all. Well, then, whenever you reference Otis, we always talk about, you know, the final deck that he used, his main deck. That's the exciting one. This is an awkward open. We basically had to spin our hand down just to get tribute monsters out of the hand, even though they had no value to gain. Hello, Tomato. How's the tournament? The tournament is going well. We're actually in the finals right now. This is game 3, I believe, in the finals, which is Blue Eyes Monarch versus 7's Axel Road Spellcasters. That's why his name is Seto backwards. So, Otis kind of wears clothes that are kind of like Kaiba's clothes, and in one episode, he does summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. That is about where the similarities end, though. Stop typing in chat and post the tournament. He's not wrong, Quantum. I don't see a sign-up link yet. This is where there just isn't one. There's just no Quantum Rush today. Quantum's got other shit to do. So we are going to summon out the Light Sorcerer of Sanctity. We're going to activate the effect, pay the 300 life points, reduce the mini Wilhelm. I'm making it as we speak. Ooh. Looking good in that blazer. Thank you. Lovely little suit jacket. This is my second favourite suit. Thought I'd wear it today for the occasion. Any chance to dress up? So we are going to summon out the Torna, activate the effect, change Mega Wilhelm to defense, which will give us the ability to clear both, and we will get in for 700 damage. Unfortunately, the board we're left with, a 1300, 1600, and a single back row, not great. Not great. It might be enough. What's the occasion? Oh, we're just streaming. There's no real occasion other than that. We had it. We were like, I don't wear my suit enough. Or I don't wear this suit enough. I'm going to wear it. Ask him about coffee shops. Manicus, I told you that in confidence. You know, to the whole stream. Right, tribute to summon out Mega Wilhelm. So we choose to give up the Gazelle. Probably the smart choice. We do now, though, have the ability to summon out the Essel to get a 3000 damage in. That looked like there might have been a delay. Suits for streaming. I thought you were attending Noodle's funeral. Noodles died so long ago, though. Like, we don't need to wait this long for the funeral. Alright. So, this board is still kind of weak. 24 and 1000. Both players have really been struggling to, like, keep any meaningful cards on the field, really. We are going to be able to pop the back row. It was Burst Stream. That could be huge. Obviously, it's not reactive, so it wouldn't have helped for this turn. But that could have been able to close the game on a later turn. We are going to summon out the 7's Road Witch, and it is turn 4. You know what that means. We're going to activate the effect. We don't even need it. We already hard drew the SRM. So again, we're only going to end on 3 monsters, which is not ideal, but this is more than enough to clear the whole board and more than enough to get a chunk of damage in, which is really, really big. Oh, look at all of that damage. Down to 2,300 life. 0 cards going into this turn. Turn 5, only 5 cards to work with. Staring down a 21 and a 16, as well as a singular unknown back row. We are going to activate our skill, which means we have drawn into a Kyberman. So we will have access to Blue Eyes Bright, which is already pretty good. Summon out the Kyberman, activate the effect, special summon the Blue Eyes Bright from hand. Now, what are the remaining 3 cards? That is the question. We are going to activate the Blue Eyes Bright immediately, go up to that 3,000. Then we're going to activate Tribute to the Doomed as our legend spell. It's a little bit awkward because we don't need it here unless we have a very good hand and we can push for potential lethal. Question is, what do we have? We're going to discard Particle Acceleration. That. So we discarded as well a Zeus, I believe. Oh no, we didn't discard the Zeus. We discarded the particle. That is... Oh. Ooh, this could be over. It kind of depends. Not popping that back row has proved potentially fatal. All we need is another Witch, and this is just game. Like, what possibly... Oh, TSA is huge. We'll reduce by 16, dropping the attack down to a paltry 900 attack. Just with what we have on board, that's already just 700 damage. There's a 15, so that'll clear the defense monster. With that 700 damage, we'd put him down to 16. So if we have any 16 access, is just game. Like a Magician's Valkyria is just game. Vultricorn. So this is not lethal, but we could put our opponent down to 100 life points, assuming I've done the maths correctly. Get him for 7. Attack with the 12. We are going to be putting Blue Eyes down to a singular 100 life points. This is looking very spooky. Draw 5 cards for turn. We have nothing left over from the previous turn. We have a clean 5-card hand, and that is it to try and out this board. Our opponent has 5 cards to work with. We do find a draw, and we've confirmed our opponent does not have Slime. That means Negate Attack and Slime are gone. If we're able to come up with some sort of ridiculous board here, we can potentially end the game. But even if we're able to clear this board or manage it in such a way where it's not too bad, the chances that our opponent is able to find anything, like any 16 gets us SRM and just win the game, is like, it's so high. So this is... I feel like we have to win this turn. And I feel like the chances of that are low. They're not impossible, but not very high. We're going to Tribute 2, summon out the Wilhel. So our opponent just gets to choose what they send. We could even just send the back row hate that we just grabbed. Or was it TSA we grabbed? Whatever the spell card we just grabbed. We could even just send that if we want to. This is looking very good for the 7's Axel Road player. It looks like Squid potentially could take the entire event here. Siesta Torero. Face up is, again, kind of spooky. We do get to attack him for 12. Having the Blue Eyes White Dragon here as well is pretty big. So we do get to reduce. We still need to find a 6. Oh, there we go. We just have the SRM. So that is going to be it. That is going to be the end of the event. And that does mean we are going to see... I mean, again, assuming that was the 2-0 that I thought it was, that should be it for the tournament. That should be SAR being our champion. We will have Squid as the winner, I believe. Oh, no, that was only game... That was game 2! Oh, I thought that was the final! I've duped myself. Alright, well, that just means more event. I really need to keep track of this. Okay, so we're going into game 3. Both players 1-all. This is going to be an exciting one. So Blue Eyes starts with the patented set 3. This is a lot better than the last game. The last game, if you remember, our Blue Eyes player had to spin the Will Hells down and ended on 2 Will Hells, a Mega and a Mini, face-up attack position, and that was kind of it for the turn. Not great. This looks like a much stronger, much stronger turn 1. Now, 7's Axel Road does kind of like going second, because it does mean you get access to that search a little bit quicker. But going second always has its drawbacks. You just have less cards to work with on turn 3. And it does kind of force you to go aggressive if you want to deny your opponent resources for the following turn. We are going to tribute summon out the 7's Red Witch. We are going to use the skill for no real reason. Oh, no, there is definitely... Oh, no, because we need to put 2 monsters back, which we do not have access to. So we cannot actually use the Gazelle here. We do force out the negate attack. That seems a little bit early, but maybe we really value just having access to 3 more bodies. Do they still play Torna in the deck? Yes, they still definitely play Torna in the list. It's just the best wind option, and it's a 1600 to get the skill off, which is just generally really good. We are going to tribute summon out Mini Wilhel, and again, are we going to see the 3rd Mini Wilhel? That's the question. We are not. We are just going to clear 2 of these monsters. Get in for a little bit of damage. I don't know if that negate attack was really worth it. Blue Eye seems pretty hard for SAR, I think, because you can't usually clear multiple 2400 plus attack monsters. Well, all you need to do is get a Witch and a 7's Red Magician, and you just get to clear 2 anyway, right? Now, if you got 3 to work with, that's another story. But I think the deck quite competently can deal with 2 monsters that are 2400 plus. It's like that 3rd is where it gets kind of spooky. Blue Eyes using Neg is cool, can't lose it to Torrent, and means more tribute fodder for big push. The problem was there was a little push. That's the issue. Like, we didn't really capitalize off of it. And now we don't have it for a potential big push. Well, it looks like it doesn't matter anyway, because our opponent has not drawn into anything super meaningful. We will just get in for 1300. So where are we going to go from here? We still have a Mini Wilhel, so we could tribute over for a Mega Wilhel. That would probably be like the most advantageous position we could find ourselves in. We could also use the skill if we found a Kyberman. We are going to just normal summon the Siesta Torero. This will allow us to at least threaten the SRM. But we can only threaten it with just the Wilhel at the moment. We are going to use Particle Acceleration, pop one of the back row. Which one will we hit? We do hit Negate Attack. That is actually huge, especially since we only had the 1 particle. That did look like there was a delay. Although the Hourglass isn't lighting up, I'm not really sure how it works with Spectate. Blue Eyes seems like having the upper hand here. It definitely does right now. We have access to so many more cards. And that's where Blue Eyes gets scary. When Blue Eyes is allowed to have a handful of cards and a field full of cards, it can get real scary. So we're using this early. This tells me we're going to go for a big push. I don't see a point in using this unless we're going to go for the big push. So we do hit the 2nd Particle Acceleration. So we had that. We chose not to use it. We're now going to use Sorcerer's Effect, which will send all 3 monsters to the graveyard, bring back SRM, and then if we do bring back SRM, we can then bring back the Witch as well, which is really big. Now, because the Witch wasn't normal summoned, we won't get to use the skill on it, but it's still looking good, right? We've got a 3600 attack monster, we've got a 1600 attack monster, which means we're looking at 26 plus the 16, which is 42, I believe. Which is not going to be lethal, but does put our opponent down to 500 life points. If only we had a negate attack to use it. Now, we draw 2. Now I got to go bye, guys. Have a good time. Thanks for stopping by, Marinos. Really appreciate you dropping by and saying hello. Hope you have a good day. Now, where are we going from here? We got 2 cards on the field, 5 cards in hand, 7 cards to work with. Dismantling this board shouldn't be too much of an issue. Again, we know there's no negate attack, and we know that there is no slime. I believe slime was used earlier or milled earlier. Oh, no, he didn't. Okay, so the slime was still in play. We did manage to pop it anyway. This will force the Sevens Road Witch to the graveyard. This is now looking very, very spooky. Again, this is exactly what Blue Eyes want. They want their opponent to be low on resources so that you have to send something you'd rather keep with the Mega Wilhel. We will simply attack over, not getting in for a ton of damage, but it's enough. Clearing the whole board and leaving your opponent with nothing. Now, this back row has to be very, very integral because the chances we just die here are so, so high. It's going to come down to, do we have a magical stream to pop that back row? If the back row's nothing, obviously it doesn't matter anyway. We'll just kill with anything. Like a sorcerer would be able to do it. And that should tie things. Yeah, that's it. That's game. That is game. Sevens Axa Road is going to take the tournament in a 2-1 victory over the Blue Eyes Monarchs. Sevens Axa Road, with this win, I believe now has won the most tournaments out of any deck. I'd have to double check that. They might actually have 1 tournament win. Let's double check that now, actually. They will. Yeah, this is their 2nd win. So they will now be tying Machine and Psychic for most tournament wins in the latest meta. Very, very exciting. So yeah, huge congratulations to Squid for winning this tournament. That was pretty big. Ooh, comeback is real. Protagonist power is strong. That is the power of playing Sevens Axa Road. When you play that deck, you are the protagonist. And there we go. That's it for the tournament. We have our champion, Sevens Axa Road. Very, very exciting games at the end there. Again, the only weird things, well, we didn't see any Psychic. I didn't see a single Psychic deck today. We did not see a single Psychic deck on stream, which is very interesting considering the deck has been on a bit of a tear. We also saw 0 Psyburst decks today. 0 Psyburst on stream, which again doesn't mean no one was on them. It just means they weren't on stream and they didn't make top 8. There's only 1 unknown top 8 deck. We may never know what that deck was, but it was exciting nonetheless. So, with that is going to be mostly, I think, everything. There was actually one little thing, because I was watching a... Let's pause the music for a sec. I was watching a video from MBT. Everyone should know who MBT is. And he was talking about Duel Links. And I thought the video was interesting enough, and the little segment of it. And I wanted to just watch it with all of you, and then we can kind of just talk about it a little bit, because I thought it was an interesting little snippet. So I'm just going to chuck this on now.
Are you ready? Are you ready for me to blow your fucking mind? You know what's making bank to this day? Duel Links. Duel Links is making more money than Hearthstone. It's unbelievable.
It's already, you know, it makes sense.
It's a little more
Super
gotcha.
gacha. Let's speed the video
Duel
up a
Links
little
kept
bit.
the lights on during COVID when there was no pay-per play.
Is this the one where he
Duel
complained
Links
about
is a modern
skills?
format.
It is a
Duel
little
Links
bit
right now. It's been a while.
But more than
man.
anything, I think MBT is the kind of player that isn't he's not outside of the bubble. He's kind of in it enough where like he knows what's going on to an extent. Like he's obviously played Duel Links, he plays it a little bit, but like I feel like the average Yu-Gi-Oh player is going to have this kind of opinion about Duel Links.
Some really cool decks in Duel Links, like Dragon Link, in for Noble Knight. Oh, thank God it's not modern. Instead, we have that dog-ass Firewall combo deck from, oh my God, what is this? You guys are Riot Dragoning? Surely you can do better than this. This is just Dragon Link. It's just whack-ass Dragon Link. Star Seraph? What the fuck is that? Oh, if I see Shockmaster, it's just 4s. No way the most powerful 4 engine of all time is Star Seraph, and that we're still doing that. There's no way that that's competitive. Look at the Star Seraph skill. All right, I'm going to hover the skill, and if I pog, you all have to hold me to it. You can normally special summon Star Seraph monsters. Monsters on your field that include number 102 can attack twice in the battle phase. During the main phase, play Star Seraph monsters, one each from your deck and hand into face down.
It's one of those things where
its battle position can be changed. If there is a card on your opponent's field,
I find it interesting to see what people who aren't really in on Duel Links, what their opinions are of it and how they see it.
Then add a Rumbarian Force. Okay. I guess if your skill is 2 E-Tellies, yes, you can be meta. I hate that skill. This is what turned me off Duel Links, is in skills were just like, you win, look at this. Skills used to be like, your monsters gain 400 attack. You can only use your skill second and third effects once per duel. During this duel, you can normal summon monsters with the sum of attack and defense of 4,000 without attributing, but you cannot normally special summon monsters except Dark Cybers or Dark Dragon monsters.
But regardless of not, if the skills are getting like a little bit crazy or whatever, regardless of that, regardless of the actual state of the game, the perceived state of the game is this, I feel, right? Regardless of how the game actually is, because I think, personally, I think speed is in a really good spot right now. I think we've been seeing large player bases playing in tournaments. I think people overall are quite happy right now. I think the public perception is that, you know, skills broken, don't like skills, Madge, right?
2 level 7 or higher dragon monsters from your hand. Your deck to the graveyard and add a monster whose sum of attack and defense equals 4,000 from your hand. This turn you can
Duel Links skill, we have 5+ effects.
If a monster on your opponent's field is in their graveyard, place 1 link to borrow monster from your
there was a 5 effect one that was leaked. But again, like I think like 2 or 3 of them were just like restrictions.
It's also a 4 effect
but
skill.
It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What's the striker?
I think it was one of the Lyrilisk ones. It was either Lyrilisk or
2 effect skill. The Sacred Beast one, I'm sure, is insane. Look at that. I'm not reading that. How much money is the 60k gems these decks need? You don't want to know, baby.
But anyway, if we skip past this bit, when it gets to the rush bit, man. That's the cool bit.
Remember this outside the deck. And it was meta because of its interaction with the Blackwing stuff, right? Oh, man. Good times.
Yeah, I just like to try and keep my ear to the ground and just know what other people are thinking about, right?
That you could build around them in an interesting way. It doesn't take a genius to figure out, oh, with my Borreload Link skill that has 8 effects, I should just put in the monsters that comport to these effects. Cool. I should get back into Rush.
Here we go, Rush.
Oh, hell yeah. They got a lot of the psychic stuff now. Ken Melody. That's sick. Rhythmical Performer came out.
The thing is, I think most people don't share this opinion. I think most people go like,
it's
Rush,
more expensive, don't care.
Rush looks dumb, I don't want to play it.
One of the things that I think could be really helpful for Yu-Gi-Oh!
And also,
the, like,
I do also want to say, he's using the Rush Duel like meta thing on DLM, which is like, I don't know. I don't feel this is relevant, right? It's a weird one. I feel like this hasn't been like curated very well, so I feel like it's just like an outdated piece of website, which is like doing too much for us right now. The skills are getting. Oh, come on, go away, bots. What are you doing? I'm trying to read chat. So losing my mouse as well. Get out of here. The skills are getting crazy, but the decks are always rotating into a new meta. I think that's what it comes down to. As long as the meta is healthy and fun, it doesn't matter what the skills are like. That's my opinion. In Master Duel, one card do like 5 effects, so anyways, pretty similar. And that is, again, from Bismarck, absolutely 100% true. Some of these cards are like one card combos that do 100 different things. Well, that's extremely hyperbolic. But like some of these cards will do like, they'll have like 4 different effects, and like some of those effects will be hard ones, some of those will be soft ones, and it's just all over the place. It's just trying to like interpret the card can sometimes be arduous in itself, right? I don't get why we can't read skills but don't have the same problem with cards. I mean, a lot of people don't read cards. I think that's a big issue. Rush is too simple and only for children, majority of the Yu-Gi-Oh players. That is another big thing as well. I think a lot of people's prejudice towards Rush comes down to, if I support new game, my game that I actively play might be worse. Resources might get taken away from my game that I play, right? That's always kind of been how I've looked at it. A lot of people aren't even like really giving a crap. They're like, oh, you know, it's not even a lot of people, I think, hate on Rush when they necessarily shouldn't, because they think it's hurting their other game, whether or not that's, again, the physical TCG, and people are like, I don't want Rush coming out because for some reason that might hurt the physical game. Some people begrudge Rush because it's basically killed TCG anime, because now it's Rush Duel anime or nothing, right? It says Psychic best deck. I think it's accurate. I mean, you're not wrong. And if you look at the other decks on there, it's kind of accurate. But, like, it still feels a bit weird. Like, it's relatively okay. I just don't know what the information is actually, like, being pulled from, I suppose. I less watch MBT content. His opinion sometimes is painfully honest. I mean, yeah. I would rather watch content creators that are honest rather than people that are going to, I guess, just be dishonest, I suppose. I like hard truth rather than like being coddled, I guess. Zero-sum game mindset. Oof, exactly. That's kind of how I look at it. Even the no-brainer skills decks have more creativity in deck building than the average TCG/Master Duel deck with 20 hand drops, 20 engine. And that, I think, is probably the best take of the day. When your entire deck is like, I don't know, like the 10, I feel like engines are getting smaller and smaller. So it's like the 10 card engine for your deck, and then it's all hand traps and just all like interruptions and like, I don't know, it just feels weird. I'm all for that. Like, I don't want to like bash TCG too hard or like Master Duel, because I do like playing those games still. I just don't want to play too much of them. Like, I have no interest in grinding the Master Duel ladder for more than like 2 or 3 games, right? I just don't want to do that, because I'll enjoy playing those 2 or 3 games. Any more than that, and I'm going to start to get frustrated. That's just how I feel. Duel Links gives Rush a pretty bad impression, I think, but real life Rush is actually interesting. Again, we talked about this a little bit at the start of the stream, I think, but we were basically talking about how with Duel Links, we're focused less on trap cards and more on skills. And what that has done has created less interaction, but more diversity. I think if we had just followed 1-to-1, the physical Rush Duel game, we would still be in tier 0 meta. Like, we would just still be tier 0 straight up. Everyone would be playing the exact same thing. Dark Revelation and Friends would always be what everyone's playing. So I think the way we've gone is better. It's healthier. There is a lot more diversity, but we have a lot less interaction because of it. I think that's where I kind of sit on that line. Konami actually thinks they can get money from Rush in Duel Links. Oh yeah, I don't. They've released the cards so infrequently that like it's so easy to play Rush free to play. Like, it's so easy to do so. Rush Duel Links is interesting. If they release the entire Rush card pool, a lot of cards would be useless. Yes, 100%. But that is also true for the TCG, right? There are millions, well, millions is hyperbolic. There are several thousands of completely useless cards in TCG that are all available in Duel Links that we would just never play. There's no reason to. I agree. Look at the variety and creativity of the Fleur decks. Again, I'm talking more about Rush compared to Speed. At least Fleur is interesting. Fleur does allow a lot of decks that wouldn't necessarily be particularly good to see some play. I know Fleur is getting a little bit old, and it's maybe getting a little bit stale, but like, I don't think it's inherently awful for the game, as in terms of like the meta, I suppose. I don't think it's awful for the meta. Whether or not it's good or not for the game is up for debate. They need to have less generic cards / archetypes in IRL. They need to have less generic cards / archetypes. Oh, you mean you want them to have archetypes? Well, we have archetypes in Rush. They're just not defined. They're like very loose. It's like 500 defense monsters, 200 defense monsters. You know, and then the types, I guess, become the archetypes. You know, spellcasters, for example, right? Bam, that's an archetype. I understand a physical Rush player could find Rush Duel Links less interesting, just like TCG versus Speed Duel Links. I mean, yeah. They made like 2 mil on Rush only month. Lol. I mean, I haven't seen that personally. I spent real money on Rush Duel Links, so they definitely got me good. Me too. I don't want to make a second account. Yeah, I've got the second account. We have a Speed account and we have a Rush account, but again, a player like Bisma and like some of the other players in here are very much all in on like both game modes, right? Like you're entering and winning tournaments for both of these different formats. I'm very casually playing speed. I'll cog in speed. I'll enjoy doing it. I'll play in a couple tournaments for fun. I am very much not a speed player, right? I am a rush player first, speed player second. That's just, like, I know that going in. I saw it in Grand's Discord a bit ago. Don't have the image, though. I appreciate the diversity in Rush Duel Links in general, but we do need a new ban list ASAP. I think the Rush format is in an okay spot right now, to be honest. I think Essel is very sacky, and I don't like that personally. I think that when it comes to the other decks that are in the format, I actually think the most problematic deck, and this is going to be maybe a hot take, is Royal Rebel. I think Royal Rebel is such an annoying deck to play around, to play against, and to deck build against, that I actually want to see that deck hit more than I want the other ones. Even Cyburst and Machine, which have been around forever, they're not bad decks. Like, they're not super overwhelmingly dominant. They're not horrible to play against. You don't have to build your... Like, the only thing you have to do differently against, like, Machines is putting higher defense monsters in your deck. That's kind of it. Other than that, it's fine. The reason we don't like Machine and Cyburst, or at least the reason I don't like them, is just because they've been really good for a really long time. Not because the decks themselves are, like, I hate playing against them. It's just I'm bored of them. Like, they're just stale. I just want them to go away because I want something new and fun to be in. That's it. Other than that, it's fine. Well, 7's raid itself is different playstyle depending on which skill is in use. I mean, there's that. The one thing I never get is people complain Duel Links isn't like the normal game, but that's the whole point. I mean, familiar and different. I will say, as a brief point to that, we do not have a good official way to play Rush Duels outside of Japan other than Duel Links. Now, we have the really crappy Switch game that feels like ass, has barely any of the cards, is locked to Switch, has all these other problems. That's kind of the best we're going to get. We also have things like EDO Pro, which is unofficial and doesn't have a ladder. So, like, it's not ideal. Let's just put it that way. So I think when people complain about not having access to... They want the game to be more like the original, it's because we don't have access to the original. I think that's where that comes down to. Maybe some speed players switch to Rush because of Fleur. I mean, maybe. I think the issue is Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, as well as Speed, are so far away from every other card game. They are so different. Like, if you play Rush, I can kind of see, like, oh, you know, I'm a Magic player. I can jump between Rush and Magic. They're both kind of... You know, Magic obviously is a bit more in depth, has a lot more effects going on, but it's still very, very simple compared to TCG, in my opinion. As someone that plays a lot of Magic the Gathering, I would say Magic the Gathering is a lot simpler than Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. So I think a lot of the other TCGs are a lot simpler, and you can kind of hop between them, and like a lot of the skills are very transferable. Whereas with TCG Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it's very difficult. I think it's not... There isn't like a good option to hop onto another game, I don't think. The meta feels good right now. I think so as well, personally. How would you hit... My bloody... I need to place this mouse so badly. Appreciate the diversity in Rush. Duel Links, we need a new ban list. The one thing is people could... We've already read that. The meta feels good. How would you hit Rebels? I personally would change the skill. I would nerf the skill so that you can only summon one boss monster from your hand. I think that would be enough to curve them a little bit without completely killing the deck. I think just saying you can either summon a 7 or an 8, but not both, is enough. I think that is a heavy hit, but it wouldn't kill the deck. The deck would still be fine. You still have plenty of ways to get a second 7 out. You still have Buy, you still have Phaser. It would still be fine. But I think it would curve it a little bit. That's personally what I would like to see. Rebels better traps. Release better traps. Release better traps definitely would be a really interesting thing to do. But again, I think they're really scared that releasing more traps will send us more towards early physical, and they're really just worried about that. That's why I'm just not getting any traps at all, which is really funny. I'm not much of a speed player, but I feel like I have more fun in Rush. I like both, personally. Like, when I'm comboing off with Fluffles, it feels really good. Up until, like, I just can't play because I suck, or my opponents put up too many negates or something. Get rid of machines. I hate that deck with a passion. Mirror Innovator feels like it came 10 sets too early. In a lot of ways it did. Hello there, my sweet Mr. Tomato. Hello, Sakadetsu. Welcome, welcome. What are the similarities between Rush and Magic? It's not necessarily the similarities between the two. It's more like, if we look at like card game complexity, it's like Rush Duel is like a 2. Like, in terms of like overall, again, on the scale, right? I'm not saying Rush is like brain dead at a 2. I'm saying compared to the 10 that is TCG, it's like a 2. Magic the Gathering's like a 3. Like Pokemon's like another 2. Vanguard is like a 2. Like there's just a lot of these games are very similar in complexity, and they still have depth to them, and there still is a lot there. But for a new player to pick up the game, understand it, and be able to play to like a relatively high level doesn't take that much. In Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, I feel like there is a much bigger learning gap there. There's a bigger divide between like a noob and a really good player that doesn't exist in a lot of other card games. Like a lot of other card games, you're like, oh, I understand how card advantage work. I understand the importance of removal. I understand how chains work and how I can interact with my opponent's cards. And that's, you know, a lot of those skills are transferable between different card games. It's difficult to do that with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because a lot of it is like doing these weird combos that pop off and you go again and you go again and you search deck for another thing and then you do this and then you do this and you do this. And you just don't really do that in other card games. The only reason made me enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! More than Magic is because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has no set rotation. That is another big thing. I used to play a lot of different formats for Magic the Gathering. Now I only play Commander. And the reason I only play Commander is because once every 3 or 4 months, I can get together with my friends that live all over the country. We'll just all travel down somewhere, and then we'll all hang out and we'll play a couple games of Commander, have a great time, and no one has to worry that their deck is no longer legal for play. And when you only play once every 3 or 4 months, you don't really want to be keeping up with a rotation that goes out every 2 years, because then you just, you're going to play your decks like 3 times a year. So you're going to get like 6 games in before someone's deck is just obsolete, and it just doesn't feel good. So for me, and the way that my life is structured, playing a non-set rotation game is always going to be beneficial. I have a hot take about Mirror, but that's going to take me a second to type. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Magic is harder rules-wise than Yu-Gi-Oh! Harder to understand as a beginner, but the Yu-Gi-Oh! Players really want to have the feeling of superiority, so they spread the rumor. I disagree with that. So, right. If you get to the real nitty-gritty and you find some very, very specific situations, yes, Magic the Gathering does have some very, very intricate rulings, right? Things like what happens when you have 2 stacking buffs that are at odds with each other, what happens when a card transforms a card into something and then that card then has other effects affecting it, and it's like, well, does it still have the old things affecting it? Like, there's a lot of intricacy there. How often are those going to come up is almost never. Like, they will come up. A lot of the time they don't. One word keywords. Keywords is great in my opinion. I don't know why every card game doesn't have keywords. Most card games do have keywords. I don't know why Yu-Gi-Oh! Still doesn't have keywords. I personally would love to see keywords come to Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that a hot take? I don't know. I think less text on the card, good. I am sick of seeing Rush like effects and seeing the words, if this card attacks a defense position monster and its attack is higher than its defense, inflict the difference as damage to your opponent's life points. I'm like, we don't need that. Just write piercing. It doesn't matter. Everyone knows. Because it's not noob friendly, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Does have keywords. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does have keywords, but not many. I think that's the difference, right? We have like draw, send, banish, destroy, yeah. But they're all like, none of those are effects, I guess, that you would attach to a card. It's hard to like phrase. Rush slowly getting shortened effects like contact fusion. Yes. And that's the other thing, is what Magic does is they have core sets. And in their core set, they have the brackets that tell you what the keyword means. And then whenever they print one of those like generic keywords that they don't have to worry about, they're like, when it's not in the core set, they're just like, well, we don't need to. You already know what Trample does. You've got a core set card. Don't worry about it. It should be easy enough to work out what this does. I think that's fine. But we have been doing an awful lot of yapping. I guess we'll just
the,
watch a little bit more of this.
we face is
This is just
the addition
the
of
end
Rush
of the
Duel.
video.
I hope that we will see it at Worlds. I hope they're going to be like renouncing it. We're canning speed duel. It's rush time, and I think it's not.
Give me Rush. Rush at Worlds.
We'll
Rush at Worlds. The best take. Just give me Rush. Just give me Rush at Worlds. That's all I want. Just give me the physical game. Yeah, just give me Rush at Worlds. I would take Rush in any form, you know. Put Rush in Master Duel. Give me a new standalone Rush game. Just add more fun stuff to Duel Links. All of those options sound great, and I would do all of them. I would happily play 3 different Rush games. I would do that. Release a new Rush game on Steam. What? Right. I don't know how well it would be received, but if they just put the Switch games, both of them, including the Japanese only one, on Steam, I would absolutely love that. And just think about how good it would be for the first few weeks of everyone jumping on and the online player base just being huge. Because the way it tends to go is that type of game has like a really big player base at the start, and then it kind of dwindles off. I think we saw the same thing with the Legacy of the Duelist games. But for those first few weeks, you would have such a good time. I would love it so much. I just want that. That's what I want. Yeah, the PvP on Switch is kind of dead right now. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, why would you still be on it? Like, most people have moved over to Duel Links if they're looking for it. But I think we are coming towards the end of the stream. It is about 5 minutes before, but I think this is probably a good place to end it. Anyway, we had such a good stream today. We got to watch the Angel Cup, which was a ton of fun. We got to see SAR take it, and we also got to just yap. And we love yapping. We just love talking about just random shit. We love talking about Rush Duel. We love talking about Worlds. We love talking about TCG. We love talking about speed. We just love it all. Read my hot take. Did I miss it, Manicus? Did I completely miss your hot take? Did you type it somewhere? Or did you type it in Discord? Where is it? Have I seen it? Can't see it. Have I seen it? Have I missed it? Have a look. Oh, you haven't typed it yet by the look of it. I'll send it on Discord. Okay. Alright, we'll read this quickly. We'll read this now. So Mirror coming earlier was good. So first off, I will preface, it didn't really come out earlier compared to the TCG. It came out about the same time. It had no dedicated skill. Some skills Cyber already started to restrict using it. This means the options for what is considered a fairly problematic card are going to be limited in the future Duel Links. Rush. Look at the skills we've received as of late. They're making decks as a whole better, and what Mirror is now offering as a single card without a dedicated skill, etc. to support it. It's already seeing less play and is less problematic. It makes the future more optimistic in terms of not worrying about what could be a problem based on IRL Rush, but instead makes more optimism around what bad decks that didn't see play IRL Rush actually see play in Duel Links Thunder as an example. Yes, I agree with everything here. Even in Speed, you could make an argument that we've seen something similar with Unchained. Unchained is a deck that didn't need a broken skill, so they kind of had a nothing skill. They had a skill that just kind of fixed Bricky hands, and that's kind of it. And that did fine. Like, that deck won a bunch of tournaments. It's still doing really well, right? So, like, that's another example of something similar. Mirror Innovator, though, I think the biggest issue Mirror Innovator has is there are so few good piercing cards right now that make this one really, really, really good piercing card stand out. Because piercing is a mechanic that can be very difficult to interact with. You can get around pretty much all of the trap cards in the game, outside of, like, the 2 big ones, just by using piercing. Like, Recital doesn't work on it. Blessing won't work. The Guard doesn't work against piercing. I think that's the big thing. Piercing as a mechanic in Rush is very, very strong. And when you have a card that can give itself piercing with no real restriction, that is what's really, really good. As well as the fact that on top of that, it can also boost its attack to crazy high, like 5,000 plus, and just kill a maximum on its own. I think that's where its versatility comes in, and it gets to show off really being good at everything. Which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it does make other boss monsters feel a lot weaker by comparison, as well as the fact it still has a skill or access to a skill that allows you to play more high-level monsters and brick less often. Just having a really good consistency skill is still really, really good. Mirror should be at least 2200 or less attack. I don't think there is a good way to fix Innovator, to be honest. Like, we're already at the point where, like, we can't change the card. That's not happening. It's been a pain having it early in Duel Links power level wise, but I think in the long run it will be for the best. Well, the other thing is, because of the way the Duel Links ban list works, as long as it remains limit 3, you won't be able to use it in the decks that sees play in. Right now, it's a meta staple in Jinzo. It's going to be, like, Jinzo, one of the Jinzos is going to be limit 3, so we won't be able to play it with that. You can't play it in Cyber Dragons, because again, the skill won't let you, and I assume something in the Cyber Dragon deck is going to be limit 3, so you won't be able to use it there. So all of the good machine decks going forward are probably not going to be able to use Mirror Innovator, because they're going to have something else on the limit 3. This is something we never had in the physical game, because we use a traditional ban list of just ban limit 1, limit 2, limit 3, right? Well, limit 3 isn't a thing. But you get the point, where it was never deemed a problematic enough card where we had to get rid of it. And the reason was because we've always had really good trap cards to deal with it, right? If we have access to something like Dark Revelation or Dark Revelation adjacent cards, just trap cards that pop monsters, having a big guy with piercing is a lot less scary, because you could just pop it. Or your opponent might not want to go all in with it, because you might be able to pop it, and just having a face down card can be scary. But anyway, that's enough for that. We're gonna end the stream. We will be back again on... God, when are we going to be back? We'll turn the music back on for a sec. We'll be back again on Tuesday, where we will be doing something. We might even be doing some speed. I kind of want to play some speed. I've been neglecting speed, and I want to play some more of it. But thank you for watching the stream. Thank you for hanging out. It's been a blast, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.